Today on Mob Rules, my throat gets justier.
We talk about Frost.
We talk about sex orgies.
Ooh,
And,
I like yours.
That's about it. Yeah, Shadow Sword, Guy Haley, great Black
like the
Library
sex
book. We
orgies.
talk about that too.
All that
not
and
much else.
something else on
Mob Rules.
Hi, my bro.
Oh, it's gonna do
Oi,
quieter,
oi,
quieter.
oi, 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 oi. Yeah.
What's up, guys?
Hey.
Sean here.
We're gonna make sure our levels are loudy.
So
All
yeah, we were
right.
making sure our levels were right by starting off really quiet and then just having me yell into the microphone.
Okay. Maybe we should set like a timer, like every 10 minutes. Like
just
we have
yell?
to say
Yeah,
something
make it
really
louder.
loud and dumb.
Dude, I'll just have like
We need a timer to
Pennies.
say something dumb. I'm fairly certain we don't need. I'm just going to have it anyway.
All right, well.
yeah, we say dumb stuff a lot. Mob Rules back. Well, I have to say, guys, we obviously had insider information when we decided to talk about Imperial Guard. Right as the new Imperial Guard Codex was coming out. That's big round of applause. Yeah, we had no idea. That was just incredibly lucky. Because the episode released, and like the same day, they were like, Codex of Astra Militarum is coming soon.
You know, I should have
yes.
I should have known because
So
like
good.
right before I started to edit that episode, like a whole bunch of stuff on Bowl started showing up, and like what was it, Vault of Terra and stuff. Like all the people are like, oh, and here's like background on regiments, and then a few days later, and IG Codex is coming out, or the not IG Codex. Like, oh,
The Astra Militarum.
the people in the know knew.
I really wanted to see Vostroyan Purseborn so badly.
Oh, yeah.
Purseborn?
Purseborn.
Pistorian Purseborn. I mean, right now we're just spitting on each other saying it, so I mean, it makes sense. Make your own resume.
Yeah,
right?
I don't
Make your own
understand why the mics have to be 2 inches apart from each other, by the way, John. Can we back up a little bit?
resume. No.
In your chairs
No,
have to be
they're
all right
not
on
gonna
top
get
of each
closer.
other.
But yeah, it's like loads of cool rules coming out for Guard.
Oh yeah.
Loads of amazing regiments. From a tournament organizer perspective, I don't like. I'm sure we're gonna get this is my regiment of Mordians. I'm using Cadian models, and right beside them is this regiment of Cam dogs. I'm using Cadian models.
They're painted white.
They're all painted the same.
I was kind of happy to see that. What was it, like Warhammer World? Like they put the kibosh on that, like at least like in their own thing.
Oh,
It was
yeah,
like,
yeah, they did.
You can't just paint your shit red and say it's this. Like it actually has to be that model, or it has to be like an artistic representation of it.
I enjoy Warhammer World. For those that don't know, they put out kind of a guide for like if you want to play games at our events here, this is the minimum expectation. It was like the 3-color minimum. So like the Quinnell special, the John special over here, and then there is this is good, but we could have it better, which is stage 2, which is highlights and transfers and all that other kind of fun stuff. And then there was like just a bread primered model, and essentially they wrote no. So yeah, like instituting that painting standard for competitions at Warhammer World, but it was like a super nice. It was a super nice kind of guide. I mean, it wasn't trying to shame anyone. They were like, you got your colors in. You could probably do a little bit more, but that's fine. So like, it wasn't trying to shame anyone. It was just like, this is our kind of our minimum expectations about what's going to happen.
Oh, you know what? Now that you mentioned, I don't know if I want to say this, but like,
Say it.
Go.
I don't remember them saying anything about like ChinaCast. Do you remember them saying anything about it?
No.
I know that's kind of been
But
a
at
thing
the
in the
same time,
past.
I don't think...
I know, not that you should. Like, you absolutely shouldn't. But
No, you should not.
Right.
Don't use ChinaCast for anything.
Like, I remember, like, it's not like they're going to have, like, a scale at the door.
Yeah.
Where they're like, sir, a Cerestus Knight, fully painted, should weigh 75 grams. This is 72 grams.
I'm going to need a stool sample from your knight.
I really thinned the paints. I really thinned the paints, I swear.
I'm going to have to shave off some of your foot so we can send it to our lab for testing. I think it's kind of like, it's one of those things. I mean, one thing at a time. It's going to happen. And people use casts. It's either... You're never going to get rid of it. I think the people who pay money to go to Warhammer World and pay money to go to Warhammer World events aren't necessarily those who are going to be like, here's my fully casted communist army, you know?
Yeah, I don't understand. What, if you're going to go to someplace special like that, you're not taking garbage.
No. Which, by the way, I might need you to pick me up some command tanks. Just FYI.
I already said okay.
Yeah. That's literally. Dave might be taking a little trip over.
There's
to
no might.
Dave is taking a
Yes.
trip over to merry old England.
When are you going?
We're going next April. It's a 12-day transatlantic cruise that ends in London. And I have convinced the wife that we should go to Nottingham for Warhammer World because that's where Robin Hood is from. And the Sherwood Forest, and she's all about
and
that.
she hangs out in Bugsman Bar, right? Or he does.
Oh, no, I showed her the breakfast specials there. She's all in.
Oh, Robin Hood totally eats the ham.
Yeah, because ever since it released, I've released one of those Space Marine command tanks. So I'm like, only available at Warhammer World. I'm like, ugh.
Oh, yeah.
That's fine.
I have a list of things that I want to get from Warhammer World.
I'm going to send you with a post-dated check. It's only cashable in Iceland, as long as you're not hitting there. We're fine.
Hey, you want to know what's funny? I'm stopping over in Iceland on the
no,
way back.
it's almost like I read your Twitter feed today.
Stupid 24-hour layover in Iceland.
Oh, whatever. Okay, so Iceland is like Greenland and Iceland are two of the most expensive countries I've ever drank. It just isn't
Really?
FYI.
Oh,
Yeah, it's
all right.
so
So
expensive.
I thought Iceland was like really inexpensive, and like for a while they were pushing for like tourism. And is
Yeah,
that-
but I think a beer was like
Maybe the
$15,
beer.
$20 or something like that. Yeah.
I don't know.
Man, little islands in the middle of nowhere.
Yeah.
Who would have thought stuff would be expensive?
They have all that seawater to make beer out of.
you know.
It'll be superb.
But anyway, Ted, what have you been up to?
Working on the house still. I'm almost done. So pretty soon there'll be hobby stuff. I'm really stoked. I'm supposed to. A friend of mine, he's a firefighter, or he like a forest firefighter. So he goes down to like lower 48 and like puts out campfires that people lit.
Your
That
friends would smoke.
devastated.
Yeah.
Yes. So anyway, he comes back and he's like, I got this fat check, dude. I'm gonna buy all the armies, but what is this 8th edition thing? So like him and his firefighter buddies are like, what is 8th edition? And they're like, so we're gonna come over to your house and I want you to like show us all how to play 8th edition. I'm like, I played like 3 or 4 games of it, but hey, cool. Like there's no rules. So
What if you were like, well, to truly understand the wonder of 8th edition, we must first start at Rogue Trader, and then you play like a game of 1st through 7th to show the changes.
So I haven't heard from Jeremiah in the last year. So I'm kind of looking forward to that. It'll be like a good excuse. Like, as I plan these things, I do this with like gallery shows. Like I plan a gallery show so that I actually paint. Because if I don't do that, then I don't like paint. And then, like then the pressure last minute like forces me to do art. And so like this is kind of the same thing as like
Some of your best art actually comes out of that, by the way.
Oh, yeah. And then, but I think like this is the same thing. Is like if I schedule these games out, then I'll have to paint for the games and like actually do this. So yeah. So anyway, we're gonna do that, and then
Make sure you tell them it's a 3-color minimum, no cast.
that's right.
Plus spacing.
He was also saying, he was like, yeah, I don't have the time to paint, but I have a lot of money. Like, oh, really? He's like, would you mind?
You don't have time for commissions.
Shit. Well, he wanted to buy something that was already done. Like,
You should be like, I have this big check. I want to buy all the Warhammer armies. Be like, you know what you should do? Buy one and have it professionally painted to tabletop plus quality.
I have an Iron Hands army that's only worth $9,000.
You're like, I have an Iron Hands army for sale. How much is it worth? How much is your check? $8,238. Whoa, that's such a coincidence.
I'll cut $2 off so you can buy yourself a
I'll
coffee at Holiday.
I'll throw in this case. Normally it's an extra 50, but because we're friends,
Damies. so that was that, or will be that, hopefully. I think the hobby things. I've been working on my Primaris. Got a few Primaris guys like made.
I saw on the YouTube channel you put up a video of the 30th edition Primaris Marine.
Yeah.
Sans legs,
Sand leg, sand head, sand forearm.
I died a little bit when I read the title, and then I watched the video and I went, I actually like that. So
It's only 80% 30th anniversary.
I'm gonna need that extra leg back
you're
from
like,
you, though.
You're like that cheap meat you get at the grocery store. It's like, no, 72% cummy. You're like, yes.
Like Taco Bell.
Oh, no, there's no meat there.
Yeah, that's right. That's right. They got in trouble for that. And then, so yeah, that was a lot of fun. It was fun putting that together. And then let's see, what was the other thing? Oh, so those aggressors that I put together. I don't know if you've saw, but I had I clear coated them several weeks ago, but I didn't check the humidity. Normally, like I've gotten to the habit of like checking the phone, like what's the weather like, and then hitting it. I was like, well, it's inside in my garage, no big deal. Oh, they're turning gray. Fuck, ghosted.
So they're iron hands, so gray works, right? Yeah, you're fine.
No. But it's like a weird phenomenon. Like, I mean, not only does it like dull everything with the ghosting, but like the silver color doesn't become like a dull chromatic. It becomes like a gray, like just straight up like you painted it with Space Wolves gray or something.
Almost like you went back to the start and it's like an unprimed model again. Yeah. I wonder if GW just has a paint away spray where you're like, fuck, I got them confused again. I got to go buy more like unpaint away spray.
I think I've done that. But so I actually like posted on the Warhammer TV site and was like, yo, like what can I do about fogging? You know, like I'm sure it's my fault because of humidity, or maybe I didn't shake the can well enough or whatever, but what's a good way of going about it? And then I don't want to actually mention who it was, but one of my buddies was like, hey, if you take an aerosol can, turn it upside down and spray it so it's using the lacquer, it'll undo the fogging process. Like, oh, okay, that's interesting. I've never heard about that before. And then, of course, like somebody else was like, oh, you should do the olive oil thing. And I think like you and I were talking about that. Yeah. And the olive oil rubs off, so you don't want to do that, right? I think it was kind of like the consensus we came to, or maybe I was talking to somebody else.
I don't know. I don't remember coming to consensus. Like, I heard this thing worked. Like, honestly, like before, all I've done is like when I see frosting, is I shook the can really well and just coated that shit until the white went away.
That's. I think if you hit it early on, I found that was successful, but I haven't had much luck with that. And I think everybody has like different solutions, and they're not wrong. They're just like I think like per case. And I think like so eventually like Warhammer TV people, just Warhammer TV gets back to me. There's actually no people. It's just Warhammer TV.
They're like Skynet right now. Yeah. No one works there.
They're like, yo dog, check Lamium Medium and use that, which I never would have thought about. So it's like, all right, well, and actually I have a video that, today I posted it, but when this comes out, it'll be Wednesday. So I posted that on kind of like going through the process. So I took Lamium Medium, and I took like 3 coats before it started to like knock back a lot of the frosting. But it seemed like in some spots it was a little bit more frosted than others. So like the edge of some of the guns and stuff like that were a little bit whitish. And then of course like that, like I was saying, like the metallics never actually became metallic again. It was just like gray. And that was, that's the tabletop, decent, good. I tried the upside down aerosol can and fucking painted the thing white. like, God damn it!
I can just hear Ted now. Dear Warhammer TV, I took your advice and I was unhappy with the result.
Well, unfortunately, those are somebody else. Like Warhammer TV did the Lamium. But yeah, a strong word to my senator.
Oh, man, for some reason, I thought it would be more impactful if you heard keys and not me actually talking.
That's pretty good.
Wrong.
That was good. And then I think like towards the end, I'm like, well, fuck, why not just try Ard Coat? So I watered down Ard Coat and then put Lamium Medium on top of it. I think that was kind of like comparable. So I guess if you have frosting, like those were 2 solutions that like if you're not super, because like I felt that my aggressors were at like bottom level masterclass. Like I felt like really good about them.
They
like,
look really good.
Yeah. And so like anything less than that, like it makes me really unhappy. So I retrieved about 90% of their paint. Like the quality. Yeah. But if you're okay with that, like if you're a tabletop gamer, like it's good.
High level eBay. Is that level below low level masterclass?
It's pro painted. So,
well, no. It's all pro painted.
Right.
It's a B plus.
Like someone could pay me $1 to paint a model, and technically I'm a pro painter.
Oh God. Oh, I remember when that used to mean something.
It never meant anything.
It did back in. Like
I will say though, I remember you saying
2000.
Right now about Ard Coat. Ard Coat is like one of my favorite technical paints.
Oh yeah.
Just because like you can use it like really sparingly to kind of start drawing the eye to certain bits.
How are you using it?
So I use it.
You just said sparingly.
Yeah.
I
use it a lot on my
listen skills
on Tyranids.
Okay.
So if there's like a particular part
nice
of the
ball sack, I know it's really shiny.
Well, I did use it on the tip of my wang cannon. But like for example, like I pro painted like I did McCarran for one of my friends, and like it's one of those shitty things where you paint someone for something else, or you paint something for someone else. And you're like, I really like that color scheme, and I now wish my entire army was that color scheme. But it was like he wanted a monochrome Eddie McCarran, so it was like black and white and gray, and I was like, man, that looks really dull. So I kind of added in some flesh bits, and then added in more, and then there was a ton of flash bits, and I'm like, oh crap. But it looked really good. That's what I did. The claws, so it was like a black chitin. Or chitin, or like, because I get yelled at.
But I wasn't going to correct you. You were wrong, but I was going to let you have it.
I've literally been yelled at before about mispronouncing it from internet comments. About it.
But you're from another country, so I don't know. Maybe that's the way
to kind of differentiate the black chitin and the claws. I used the art coat, like a couple of coats on just the claws.
And
it just really shined it up, and it kind of just that difference in texture really does something like super easy. Yeah. So I mean, and that's something a painter of my level. If you look at something like a power sword or like a power axe or any kind of force sword, if you just do like a couple of really thin coats of art coat on those weapons, it kind of gives it a gloss shine that you're not going to get kind of in other things, and again draws attention to that part of the model. So you're like, don't look at the retard eyes I drew on there, but look at this sword I looked at a tutorial on doing.
So if only I knew that, like as a kid, I would have just like cut out pictures of boobs and put them on different things of the models.
We have a guy who puts boobs on models.
That's true.
Oh, Wesley.
I don't. What else do you have in your army? I'm not seeing anything other than that dreadnought.
The guy's like 6 halberds with boobs. And boob roots.
Nothing else. No, there's other models there. I can't see them beyond the boobs. So that's kind of been my thing.
Nice.
Yeah.
Dave, you've been busy little bee.
I most certainly have.
I have to say before you start, your primaries are turning out looking fantastic, and I really wish I had your color scheme.
Ugh.
I mean, this is turning into a thing where like, whoa, stunning news. Guy doesn't like painting yellow.
So it's funny. Just a second ago, you mentioned that you see a color scheme and you go, "Yeah, wish I'd painted my army that." So Cody is working on his stuff, and we were trying to decide between his two color schemes of black. He wanted either a black Primaris army for his stuff, because mine are purple and gray, so he wanted to be different, and or a completely bone-colored army. Kind of think old school GW skeleton bone. And I told him
like Deathwing.
No, Deathwing is more whiter. This was like more bleached, dirty.
Old school Deathwing is kind of what you're thinking about, Ted, not new school Deathwing.
Right. So he wanted to do that. And I told him painting black is a pain in the butt. And then I asked Phil how he managed to paint so many Deathwing.
You got it pro painted.
Right.
Got
it off
Phil's
eBay.
Dirty secret. You have to be 100% painted on his channel, but he pays Asian laborers to paint it for him.
His
Are
pro shop.
they're catechins then? So I took Phil's scheme to see if it was something that Cody would be able to do. Because Cody's never painted a model before in his life. Right now, all he's doing is building models that he thinks look cool.
In the hands.
Right.
It puts the paint on the model.
It's just
it then the paints with the water, or else it gets the hose again.
Boy, Cody is right now like 90% of the people that. Of the views of all of Duncan's videos, he's 90%. If you look on there and it says 27 million views, he is 20 million by himself.
I still really want to do like a parody video where we take some of GW's like Duncan footage and just like cut in our own footage of like a broken, dirty child out of frame, like reaching up to grab the model and doing all the painting while he's just sitting there talking.
when that wipe happens,
yeah.
Whoa.
Just did the slamming of a dressing room door that says, "Call me when it's painted." But anyway, yeah. So he watches tutorials.
So the tutorial is dry brush gray, then dry brush Fenrisian gray. I can't remember what the first one is, and then wash in Nuln oil.
I believe it's
standard Mechanicus or something like that.
Standard Mechanicus gray. Yeah. Then Ashen. No, it's Ashen, then standard Mechanicus, and then Nuln oil. That's his.
Oh wow. No, it's Fenrisian.
Or Fenrisian?
Yeah. So I used Eshin on the model because I didn't have Fenrisian because painting space wolves. That's who does that. So I got the wash done and I took it over to him and I said, all right, so this is what it looks like. And then I finished painting the model for him. This was one of my own intercessors that I'm never going to get around to painting because I have 30 of them as a test model for him. And when it was done, I looked at it and went, that was so much easier than painting my models the color that I'm painting my models, and these look awesome.
So you're going to keep his models?
No.
Why not?
Yeah, just send him
You
off with
can.
purple ones.
Yeah.
Yeah. Swapsies.
So he's busy painting his stuff right now. He's finished his 1,000 points that he built, that he had to build for this Reddit painting competition that we're not really in, that we're kind of in. That was the impetus for him to actually full on buy models.
I joined a sculpting competition and didn't sculpt a single thing.
No.
Therefore, winning by not participating.
Yes, I did not fail. I failed the least.
Hey, you won by default. So we got that.
Such a lie.
We got that going on. But while he's working on stuff, and I've been painting my Primaris slowly. Like I finished my captain and I finished the banner guy, and I'm I love the way the banner guy came out, and I love the way the captain came out. I put I read watched a tutorial video on how to spray paint a power sword, and I was getting ready to do that after having finished everything else on the model, and I thought about it and went,
spray paint a power sword?
not spray paint, airbrush. Sorry, airbrush a power sword. And I looked at it and I went, there's no way I'm not going to get white. Two shades of blue and black all over the rest of this. So I instead did the exact.
They said to do that after you paint everything?
No. They said to do it beforehand.
Oh, okay. All right.
I didn't have time before Ursa to do that.
Oh, okay. Yeah, that's going to be like all the tape and like fine cut slivers going in between the.
So, it was. I was like, you know what? I'm going to wet blend it.
Okay.
So I spent an hour wet blending a power sword to an airbrush quality that takes 5 minutes.
Oh, shit.
And I'm stoked. I think it looks amazing.
Okay.
I personally think it looks great.
Okay.
I was like, yay.
I disagree. I haven't seen it, but I disagree.
Yeah. I brought it just to show you in case you disagreed.
Oh, okay. That's good.
No.
He knew you'd disagree.
Yeah. I was like, that son of a bitch is
I had it in my pocket. See, look at my
Joke's on you.
It's broken.
Should
have sat on it.
Managed to do the eyes perfectly.
Yeah? Okay.
Did the banner guy. Did the eyes on the banner perfectly. Did the banner great. Got Dante, commission painter up here.
Oh, okay.
Was like, oh man, I might have
heard
to
of
pay
him.
you to come over and paint my banners. And I was like, you don't.
Forge Studios on Facebook.
Is it Ferret Forge?
Yeah.
Ferret Forge. It's my only dislike about his painting skills.
What?
It's the name.
Is the name.
Oh.
You know,
he likes ferrets.
he's got like 100 ferrets running through his house and tubes and stuff.
It
so
makes
it makes
sense.
Yeah.
Yes.
But he was like, you should come paint the banners. I was like, ha ha ha, no.
I just have like an ingrained racism against ferrets.
Is that really a racism?
They are a race.
Yeah, they are a race.
Like,
a speciest, I guess.
Yeah, you freaking species. I bet you don't like meerkats either.
Oh no, they're adorable.
Oh, okay.
They're the ferrets of the jungle.
it's okay when ferrets are in the jungle.
Those are away from me.
So yeah, I spent my time working on that. We got Cody's stuff ready, and then I took Cody to play his very first game of 8th edition.
Ooh, girl? What?
Cherry poppin'.
It was awesome. So we played last night against our buddy Tyson, and I've got
Danny.
Danny was originally, it was supposed to be me and Cody versus Tyson and Danny.
Yeah,
but Danny couldn't make it because we had to reschedule because Cody got sick first.
Oh, okay.
So,
But Danny doesn't lower himself to playing intro games.
he was stoked to play. Actually,
No, Danny's a great guy.
Yeah,
I can't because I love.
And from what I understand, he's actually amazing to be a first game against. So I was like, oh, Danny, perfect. You know,
Yeah.
Tyson, not so much. Because you played Tyson, and you're like, all right, it's a friendly game. He's just learning how to
You will learn how
stomp?
super heavies and flyers and characters work.
So Danny and Tyson played on Saturday, and Danny said, you should change your list to this and use Raven Guard tactics, Tyson, and you'll probably win against Cody. Which is fine because Cody's never played before, and so this was literally his first experience playing. So Cody brought his army of 4 aggressors, a unit of 4 aggressors, a unit of 3 aggressors, a captain and Gravis, because those are the things he thinks look sexy, and I can't blame him. I really do like Gravis myself.
I can blame him on the aggressors. I mean, unless you follow a sweet shoulder pad tutorial, they don't look sexy.
I highly recommend that, and actually create new accounts so we get ad revenue.
Where on earth could you find a tutorial for how to make them sexy?
Well, I thought about doing a painting tutorial on mine because it looks so good, but it was after I'd finished it. I was like,
oh, that's too bad.
Should have done one. So he goes over to play.
Do it again.
Yeah.
Strip them and do it again.
No.
Ted can spray
I'll make a
accidentally
video.
for
Yeah,
you.
that's right. Let me clear coat your model for you. Ted, I heard upside down is bad.
It is bad. It's bad. Oh, it's white. Start over, Dave. I'm switching to
interject. I actually like did all those techniques on like the video. So as I'm painting them, like model, oh shit! So, yeah.
Well, you just got yourself one more view.
Yeah.
But just one.
So 7 total aggressors, captain, a redemptor with the Gatling cannons, and a repulsor. Tyson brought Ravenwing, tons of bikes, and then some jump pack troops. I have to tell you that I fully expected Cody to just get absolutely wrecked because Tyson had like 20 bikes and
fat cock,
15 jump pack troops. No, actually,
he's kind of
all right. I mean, I saw him in the shower once. You know, so
he's
I was
a
like,
grower, not a shower.
So he was like,
I don't know why that was funny.
I was like, oh shit, he brought like a really bad. I'm just gonna wreck this. I was wrong. I was so wrong. It wasn't even funny.
No,
aggressors are the best thing in 40K I've ever seen in my life.
Yes.
Asterix within 12 inches of the enemy.
It's 18 inches.
Yeah. Within 18 inches. Asterix, do not let your aggressors get charged.
Dude, if your aggressor stood still and you get charged, you get to shoot twice. That's six dice per model times 2.
And did he go flame or did he go?
No, he went Gatling guns.
Fuck. I love it. Like the one time I used them, like they marched along, nothing ever hurt them, but you know, like anything got within that like that small little bubble, it was like
Kill zone.
Yeah, it was.
Need to get a repulsor.
You want to see 20 Ravenwing bikes turn to dust?
Shit, really?
He by the end of the first round of shooting, one of the 10-man bike squads was wiped down to 3 models, and the other one was down by 2 or 3 models.
Okay.
And I found a cool new stratagem that I didn't know existed that I wish I had. That has to do with deep striking models.
Yeah. What's that?
2 CP, and you get to shoot them like interceptor.
Oh, okay.
This is my favorite stratagem.
Oh.
I don't know if you're aware of this or not, but if you have 4 aggressors who haven't moved and somebody deep strikes right next to them,
fuck.
Do you know what it looks like when 48 dice get rolled?
Yeah,
but
usually it's when I
orcs.
Yeah, they're like, don't impress me. But when Space Marines do it, that is pretty impressive. They actually hit.
4 guys with D6 assault grenades plus, or I'm sorry, it was 8 D6 assault grenades and then 12 shots per model on his.
I could really see throwing like a lieutenant or whatever that lets you reroll shit, like run around with those guys. That would be amazing.
It's a standard Marine bomb.
Oh,
so
man.
Cody's cherry popping game was one that Tyson is never going to forget because he was he's just pissed. He was like, Dark Angels can't have aggressors or redemptors or repulsors because they can but his Imperium, he didn't have the Space Marine Codex. He only has the Imperium Index 1, which lists what Primaris you can have, and they weren't in Index 1.
It's almost like they were released after Index 1.
Almost like
like that. Yeah.
So Tyson was a great sport, but
good, salty,
just
semi-salt.
Yeah, super salty,
bittersweet, bitter salt.
I learned that Cody rolls a lot of 6s for his shooting, and also cannot make a single armor save at 3 up.
So I should play him and go first. Let all of my shooting.
Yeah, you really should. So I've had a great 2 weeks of hobby time. I've really enjoyed what I've been doing.
Yay, hobby time.
And
Yay.
I helped somebody work on a floor.
That was awesome.
Yeah.
That has nothing to do with hobby. Well, yeah, hobby time.
I mean,
Thank you for doing
flooring
that.
can be a hobby.
Yeah.
And if you want to see pictures of Dave somewhat naked, go friend me on.
I should warn you, it is safe for work.
The internet collectively is like, oh.
We want to know what Dave does under his clothes.
Well, I'm naked under my clothes.
I thought everyone was. Well, I have had, not super productive past couple weeks. I did play a game. I played a hyper-competitive tournament game against Wallace O'Donnell, who came third in the tournament we ran. I target prioritized incredibly wrong. Because I'm still a little 7th edition in my head. So, I think kill shot predators. I think, a predator squadron to have kill shot. No, it's just 3 predators within 6 inches of each other.
Okay.
Like add 1 to their damage, 1 to the that 1 to everything. So he had Predator autocannons that were like doing 4 damage for every hit.
Whoa!
Really?
Yeah. It was so I didn't take that out soon enough, and it kind of because a lot of my army I have a bunch of dreadnoughts.
Okay.
That's my gig. I like it.
Yeah.
Can't go wrong.
You doing your Redemptors?
No.
Oh, okay. You're over it for now?
I said hyper competitive, not fun and friendly. But I did face against a Redemptor. But I was fielding for the first time my double storm cannon Leviathan.
Ooh.
It was ridiculously sexy. I love it so much. Whatever I pointed at it, or I pointed it at, died. It took out a Predator with 1 round of shooting, with 1 gun.
Yikes.
It took Gulliman down to 1 wound with 1 round of shooting from 1 gun. It wiped out 2 Imperial Guard squads in 1 turn. It wiped out like just anything I pointed it at died. Because I'm rolling 10 dice for each gun.
Oh wow!
It's minus 2 damage. It's 2 damage apiece. It's in my little bubble, so I'm re-rolling once to hit, re-rolling once to wound.
Oh, because you also had Gulaman.
No. I'm not a cheesemonger. I just had a captain and a lieutenant. So like that little bomb there. But it was a lot of fun. You know, I learned a lot. I'm trying to get my competitive game kind of up and going. So it was a good learning experience. I had like 3 or 4 assault squads and reserve. Like I said, the problem is the way I've built the list is if I don't go first, it's very, very rough. And I did not go first. So, because you go first, you drop your assault squads down so you get some board control, and he can drop anything down. You shoot everything up, and like my army throws such firepower, like in turn 1, that is ridiculous.
Okay.
And it didn't work out great. But no, it was a very fun game. Wallace is a great opponent. I liked it afterwards. I'm like, hey man, let's talk about what happened. And like was willing to go over the game and kind of like we're learning to help improve.
Cool.
So yeah, I put some colors down on my Leviathan. I just it's just silver right now, so I still need to do.
Okay.
I magnetized the Leviathan.
Yeah, you're excited about that.
Super easy to do. I was like really surprised like how easy it was.
So that was your first magnetizing job, right?
In a long time. Long time. The last thing I magnetized was shit. I don't even remember. It was that long ago.
Yeah.
But no, it was
cabinet
really,
doors.
Yeah. It was. It was really easy. It turned out looking really good. I can't see the magnet, so I'm happy about that. I also started working on the trophy for my next tournament, which is the inaugural Ultramar Cup, which is what we're calling our newbie league.
I can't wait to not win that.
So it's kind of it's in an effort to kind of grow the community because we're starting to see a kind of our main tournament attendance is up or is like continues to be great. But it's still kind of a core group of about 4 or 5 players who are placing in those top 5 places, and it just kind of rotates around.
Right.
And there seems to be kind of a stagnation of learning. So like our new players are coming in, and they're either playing someone who is just way better than them with a way better list, or kind of the same guy they play all the time. So in order, or they just don't come out. It's like, hey, what's the point? I don't want to play, these people. Right. So we, Nate and I, my buddy Nate, we came up with an idea with our local store Tier 1 that we're going to run this newbie event where if you have finished in the top 4 in any of that store's events, you can't enter. So that kind of that's brought some of our Garage Hammer players out because like, oh well, so there's a chance.
Cool.
And the idea is you graduate out of this tournament eventually. So like Nate and I were talking, like if a guy comes in, like we have our 2-hour rounds. If he tables everyone all 3 games in an hour, thank you for coming. Please don't come back. Like the nicest possible way.
I was like, woof.
That's rough.
But like in a nice possible way because that's not what that's for. There's an event for that. Yeah. It's not designed to be like a SEAL Club an event where like, oh man, well please, I've never placed in an event, we're kind of involved in it and we're growing it. We're doing some modified open war missions because I really love that open war deck.
Oh, they're so
I've split the objectives into 2, and we're gonna have a primary mission which is objective based, and the secondary mission which is the non-objective things like kill one person or kill points or something like that. Yeah, just super hyped. So we're working on the trophy right now. The trophy will be kept at the store. We're going to put people's names on it.
Oh, cool.
There's a little bit of carved
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 ass.
glass.
Oh, gotcha.
Which is just got like a nice little silhouette of a Space Marine on it, and it's not going to say winner. It just says 10th Company veteran.
Oh, cool.
Oh, cool.
Because the 10th Company is what? Is your scouts.
Scout squad. Yeah.
It's your scouts. So
That's fun.
like you survived. So I'm really excited about that. And there's a lot of good feedback. A lot of people are very excited for it as well. So that's going to be tomorrow, because obviously everyone listens to this as soon as it comes out.
Right.
And then on top of that, I got to do super fun administrative bureaucratic things for next year's Battles on Ursa convention, our big Alaska tournament. So I booked a meeting room and set up my first meeting, which is still 40K related, so it's still hobby progress.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, using my work connections. Got a meeting room.
Oh, cool. Okay.
Yeah, I didn't pay for it. Yeah, it was
I
free.
was gonna say,
It was free. Yeah,
That's excessive.
and I picked up a cheap Knight. Was it Lancer? The Casker Knight Lancer.
Oh, yeah.
Oh,
Posted
right.
on
Twitter. Yeah, and I started repainting that. So it was like black and bronze. So then I sprayed it gold. And then painted it red, and I'm like, yeah, because I love Game of Thrones. I'm like, yeah, and I always want to do like all of my knights like House Lannister knights. So you'd have like Jaime and Cersei, and like perfect. Yeah, and Ted, you don't watch Game of Thrones. So,
What's TV?
so I posted it up, and like the first reply was like, oh, cool, Iron Man. I'm like, no.
Game of Thrones. So they're probably all like remembering Nate's scheme of like
that's
it specifically went Iron Man.
Iron Man.
Yeah.
For his suit, but yeah, that is kind of be my hobby progress. I mean, I'm trying to continue working on the Leviathan just because, God, I love that guy so much. Like the
You should marry it.
I really should, because like
You can.
describing
I think in
the
Australia, you
stats
can
when the
marry
opponent is like, what does that do? Well, let me tell you, it has 2 storm cannons. They're strength 7, AP -2, 2 damage each. Oh, how many shots? Oh, 10. Okay, for both of them? No, each.
Yeah.
Each.
And then also, what's that? It's like, it's got 2 heavy flamers as well. So please don't
Pay
charge
no
it.
mind.
Pay no mind to those. Just charge it. That's fine. So yeah, I want to get that guy painted up. And then, yeah, I'm waiting for Shadespire right now. I think that's going to be my jam.
I want it to be my jam, but I'm not allowed to buy any more models until I finish painting everything that I already have, I've been told.
You just need to ride that wave, sir. We all get that ultimatum.
You know what I miss about like old school Warhammer Fantasy is you can call it square basing. I don't square base. You know, like now you can't do that. You can't. I can't Age of Sigmar. You know, like it's you can't have that like elitist thing where you like.
Well, you still can, like,
but it doesn't come off like it. You know, square basing has like this nice derogatory kind of feel to it. Like if you're using it that way,
it still does. Because at our Age of Sigmar tournament at Battles on Ursa, we did have a guy who had movement trays and square bases.
Oh, okay.
And everything kind of in there. So I was like, it's still a thing. I was like, good for
not
you,
the same,
sir.
but that's cool. Good on him.
He's taking it back.
My Skaven are still on square bases, so it still
you have
works.
8,000 of them.
Yeah, like,
you can't afford the
that.
8,032 mil bases.
I haven't
you'll
primed a single one of them, let alone like change their bases.
I actually started a GoFundMe for your Skaven, so you can afford the bases.
Jesus Christ. Well, considering like everything's like going to 32 mil bases, I have a whole bunch of 25s laying around.
Poor 25 mil bases. We have to do like a eulogy for 25 mil
I
bases.
had a small freezer bag that was like my extra bases, and like it's actually slowly become like I had to get a second bag because of like all the extra like 25 millimeters that I've been like swapping out for like 32s. And
don't Imperial Guard come on 25s?
I don't have Imperial Guard.
They do.
Yeah, so
a lot of
you're
things
good.
does.
Just get some conscripts.
Well, orcs are still on 25s, but I'm upgrading the knobs to 32s. So
I really enjoyed the conscript fix that they talked about.
oh, what was that?
So they were like,
Not.
"Hey guys, don't worry, we fixed conscripts. They're not cheesy anymore." I'm like, "Oh sweet, what'd you do?" It's like, they can't be any bigger than a unit of 30. Yeah, bro, that's not the problem. Could you not make the commissar work with them so their morale doesn't get better? Right, we got to. They only get an order on a 4+ now. You're
Wow.
like, wow, great. Also, not the issue. The commissar interaction with the conscripts, we fixed it, guys.
You can't put them in a chimera. Like,
We couldn't do that before. Oh man.
Yeah, we had a nice actual civil discussion about it, and the fact that I like to play devil's advocate, and I thought, well, conscript spam hadn't existed before this book was probably written in the grand scheme of things.
I have very heavy memories of a game of 40K I played out at the metagame. This is how old it is. So it was like early 7th, late 6th edition.
Yeah.
And I think I was playing against, what was it? It was some guy there, but it was like 1,000 points was the level. And he took 200 conscripts.
Jesus.
Against my Space Marines at 1,000 points.
Was that was that one, the Unbound one, right?
Yeah, no, that wasn't Unbound. That was part of the league. Remember that like escalation league they had going out there? They were just as broken in the last one.
Because it was like, shit.
I'm going to charge your conscripts with my Mega Knobs. And they're like, okay, so I have 18,000 Overwatch shots. It's just like, whatever.
Yeah.
Shoot him. Roll
him. Go.
All right, 1 wound. Got it.
So it's been a thing, but yeah.
Well, but I don't remember seeing it in 7th in our local tournaments up here, really, in the grand scheme of things.
It's because what you had to do, the only way to get conscripts before in 7th was you had to take a command squad. Then was it 2 squads or 3 squads as part of your platoon, and then you attach conscripts to that. The reason with 8th they're so prevalent is because there's no platoon anymore. You don't have to work within
Imperium
that troops.
keyword.
Yeah. You don't have to work within that troop structure anymore.
Yeah, but I want to believe that GW had this book written before then.
You know what though? Playing devil's advocate as you so like to do.
I do love it.
If you can't kill 50 toughness 3 models with a 5-up save. Time to rethink your army a little bit there.
No, I have no problem killing those things.
Yeah.
It's giant murder death AdMech robots that are giving Call a hug that give me issues.
Struggle cuddles. Oh man, well that seems like a good time to go to break with our struggle cuddles. We're going to be right back.
Loudy noises.
We're going to talk about something. I mean, good.
Loud.
Yeah.
Do you like cookies but want something more British? Buy biscuits. Not like those you have for gravy. British biscuits. For dunking in your British tea. Stiff upper lip guaranteed. Biscuits, as recommended by Queen Liz of the Britons.
So what about that book we read?
Oh man, we read a book. That's right. There was tanks in it and explosions and stuff.
What? Wait. There were tanks?
Which book did you read?
What did we read? I thought I read Shadow of Elfsword by Terry Goodkind.
I read Subterraneans by Kerouac.
I read Shadow Swords, a Lord of the Rings fanfic about the further adventures of Bilbo in the Elven lands.
I love that Bilbo sounds a lot like Dildo. Like it's always made me happy.
That was actually the anime in the book.
Dildo.
Bilbo versus Dildo.
It kind of was, according to this book. This was a very...
Okay, so Shadow Sword by Guy Haley. The sequel to Baneblade.
Which we haven't read.
Which I haven't read, but I'm going to go back and read now.
Sure.
So while there's kind of like character development in Baneblade, you don't necessarily have to have read it. I feel to get
it was a good
standalone.
standalone.
It was it was a great standalone.
Yeah.
It filled a lot in for you.
We got to see some kind of everyday workings of the Astra Militarum.
That was awesome.
Which was awesome.
I thoroughly enjoyed that. Actually, I think I started to read that book. I bought it in Las Vegas, and I think I started reading it, and then I talked to Andy Smiley because they did that thing like his lecture and like Q&A where like, what do you want to know about working for Black
Adepticon?
Library? Yeah, and like I was just going like there's a lot of these tank battles and everything, and as I was reading through there, I was like, holy shit, like it really sounds like these people knew what the hell they're talking about. And one person was like, so how many people in Black Library have military experience? He's like, absolutely none. Like, whoa. I mean, granted, I don't have military experience, so like you could. And he threw the cheese into the fire. Like, is that a real military thing? Do you throw cheese in the fire to make smoke?
Well, I mean,
interesting.
Not to disrespect anyone, in any military or sort, but you can Google a lot of information.
Yeah, and that's the thing is like he was like they researched the crap out of it, and of course, like if you're writing basically like sci-fi military like fiction, yeah, of course you're gonna like have a better working knowledge than Ted.
But so this book kind of is split into kind of, I would say, 2 or 3 main stories. You have kind of the story of the crew of the burping here. That's terrible.
It's like last episode.
The crew of the Shadow Sword is kind of like, and their kind of adventure throughout. That's kind of your A story. Your backup story would be kind of the governmental politics of the planetary governor and kind of the ruling family, which again was like my favorite part of the book.
I would almost say that one took as much precedence as the main crew story.
Oh, for sure.
It was like they were in tandem.
It was
like,
the driving reason for being there in the first place.
Right,
so.
right.
And then there was your
That's
C
a good
story of your goddamn Mary Sue Space Marine showing up out of nowhere and doing all the Baron Bear.
That's right.
You know what my favorite part is that they were in Imperial Fist, successor chapter. And died, all of them. So,
no, actually, they didn't. But, spoilers. Oh, yeah.
Remember we were going to put a page in every single book at Barnes & Noble?
Oh, right,
yeah. So you're right, Dave.
Yeah.
So, spoilers all. We're going to be talking about the book and kind of things inside it. So, if you have not read the book, just mute us. Don't stop us. Don't stop downloading. Just mute the thing.
Or do what we did and read it today. So,
you guys did.
I got 6 months ago.
Someday I love my job sometimes.
Oh, that's awesome.
So the book kind of follows along with Bannock, who is our kind of our Baneblade tank commander from the first book. And kind of his motley crew of random people put together.
And this is kind of going back to, I think, like last episode, like when you guys were talking about the Astra Militarum and how like a lot of the platoons were hodgepodge of different regiments and everything filled together. And like this was my first thought was like to this crew, and I think it kind of like it was nice, like I don't know, it kind of harkened back to that and kind of just showed like that everything is constantly moving and changing. And the
it's like your gunner died. Here's a new gunner.
Yeah,
he's from this country. Or this planet. It's like, oh, okay,
cool.
Cool.
I love the Calvor Chemdog, or the Salvor Chemdog guy. Like that guy.
Oh, the guy who just kept on
the
driver who kept inhaling meth all the goddamn time.
It was a junkie. It was like just this lowbrow, like rednecky or whatever. Like,
what do they call them? Ferals.
Yeah, right? That's right. Like,
so you have cool. Was that Karlok Shom?
Oh, which one was that?
That was the driver.
Oh, that was the
that was the guy. Yeah, you had your and so. I think I've never really. I mean, we've done a lot of Space Marine battle books, but this is kind of like the first one we've done where it's like like regular people like kind of having like a chem stick out on the edge or like sneaking some drink out. He's like, getting into bar fights.
Right, that's right. Yeah, that was good.
It was so it starts off kind of with the planet that's kind of they've had enough. Like the Imperium keeps coming for tithe, like every year, taking men for the guard and for Macarius's kind of solar crusade, and finally the planetary governor is like, "No, I don't have anyone left." It's like in my entire in the entire planet, there's less than 500,000 men left, and I think my favorite part is like the guy from the Adeptus Bureaucrasis is just like, "Yeah, I don't care." Make the women work in the factories. Send your men. And they're like, well, no, we can't do that. And they're like, no, it's the numbers here. Here we go. It says we cannot. The data says you can pay, so you got to pay. And they're like, well, the data's wrong. And it was like, nevertheless, it says you can pay, so you can pay.
I see this in like a lot of like British movies, like Brazil and so on. Like there's like there seems to be like a lot of like those commentaries on bureaucracy, like the failings of like the free market socialism and stuff. And like this is kind of like one of those where it's like, I mean, granted, 40K in general is just like a commentary on like bureaucracy and religion, but like it's kind of neat.
Yeah, but yeah, like I said, I really liked that idea of the guy being like, hey, you got to pay. Yeah, we can't. It says you can. That is wrong. And be like, yeah, I know. But that's not my problem.
It makes it seem like like 23
mafia style loan sharks coming into the business. Like, real nice planet you got here. Be a real shame if we were to smash it up. So they say no, and the guy's like, "Are you sure? Because this means that we will invade you."
And I think like this is also where I think like the lady, the governess, Was she influenced, I think, by her nephew at this point to say
Not
no?
that you knew about.
Yeah, well, she was influenced to say no because he was like, you should not do this.
Right.
So he was like, I think for right at this point, like we're starting to see like this backstory. Like, well, this not even a backstory. It's like that. This story going on simultaneously with like the Astra Militarum, where you have like there's all this like folklore, and they really don't like describe it. For a long time, I'm like, what the fuck is all this? Like, what? This is some strange like. I don't know, like non-typical GW storyline of like this weird fantastical gnomes that are talking to people and all this weird shit.
The devil in the bush.
Yeah. And so, you know, like the weird hippie cousin that the nephew wants to bone, bring him along. Like, oh, you have to meet this gnome, and it's gonna tell you great things.
You're jumping too far ahead there.
Oh, okay. But I think at this point, but still at this point, I think we're like that's kind of influences the governors to make this decision.
Yeah, and you know. But you don't know about him until later in the book that he was the one that influenced.
All you know is like after the adept leaves, she's like, "Well, thank God I listened to my cousin." And you're like, "Wait, what?" But like, I think the assessor who comes to do this thing. One thing I really got into was when he said, "You flout the primary and only rule of planetary governorship. You refuse the tithe." I like that. There's only one rule in planetary governorship. Can I enslave these children to make 40K iPhones? Meh. I don't really care.
Are you going to make your tithe?
Yeah.
Knock yourself out.
Can I murder this half of the world because? Can you still make your tithe? Yeah. All right. That's fine. So, yeah, I love this idea that these planets and like...
Then don't worship chaos.
To the Imperium, these aren't even people or planets. It's just like numbers on a spreadsheet.
Yeah.
And it's just, I really like that kind of thing. There's only one rule of Fight Club, and that's, don't talk about Fight Club.
Make your tithe.
And then, so she denies. He was like, okay, I'm going to give you one chance to do it. And she's like, nope. And they're like, okay. So in retaliation, this world, which has been established to have like 500,000 men and kind of very little other resources because for 9 years they've come to get tithe. They launch an assault with Astra Militarum and 5 million men. They do not half-ass this assault whatsoever. Then we make planetfall and kind of meet up with the main crew of our Baneblade there.
And their 72 million allies that come with them. It was just a ridiculous show of force.
I love
this is great because I think like they're in a Baneblade and like the book is Shadow Sword and like for the longest time I'm like what the fuck where is right on maybe they call their Baneblade Shadow Sword.
So what happened? So they describe in really great detail kind of how the Astra Militarum does like a planetary assault. It's very different than the Space Marines that we've kind of like talked about before, where it's like this rapid deployment, boom, 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 boom. We hear like these containers, and there's like metal boxes and metal boxes and metal boxes. Like there's this tank in a container that's dropped very slowly to the ground, and then like you have 4 super heavy tanks kind of coming along, and then again we get to see the human side where one of the super heavy tanks, a Shadow Sword title, the guy's like, yeah, I'm not coming out the box. Yeah, I'm just gonna stay here. You guys go on ahead.
What was he saying? The tank was unhappy.
No, the maglocks would not unlock on the lander. But see, so I got the impression that these guys are usually deployed in a different way, John, because reading what the commander had said about it is that he'd never come in this way before in the tank, like he
ready to rumble.
Yeah, they were strapped in and they were coming in hot.
I don't know. He describes it. So Bannock, kind of our main guy, he describes it as we're in a metal box inside another metal box in a third metal box waiting to be dropped into a firefight. What more could I possibly wish for? But he says the longest he's had to wait for deployment like this was 48 hours.
Yeah.
So again, we're like that kind of like Imperium. You're just a thing. You're not a person thing. Like making a guy wait inside a box, inside a box, inside of a box for 2 days. Like we're gonna drop you soon. No, not yet.
God, that Baneblade's got to be stanky.
Well, I mean, and the way they describe it with the heat and everything, it's stanky,
cramped.
Shit.
It's gross.
It's tiny.
But then they still have like a command room inside there. I don't know where they fit that command room, but
I would love. I think someone's done like a cross section of the Baneblade about where everyone fits because there's 2 decks in there as well.
Yeah,
and I'm like, that's where all the squats went. They're a Baneblade crew now. But yeah, so they drop all these tanks and they do this like really wonderfully described siege on a city. Like the initial battle where like it's just precision tactics. You talk about like there's orbital lance strikes coming down and kind of all of these cogs kind of coming together for this assault on one of the cities there. And the way it's described is the reason they do it like that is it's a show of force. And by taking the cities quickly and as well as they did, like 5 other cities were just like, fuck that. Okay, we surrender.
Hit this one hard with everything we've got and show them that we're not messing around.
So at this point, don't they? So they take the city and then they kind of relax a bit, right? Is that at this point?
Yeah. They take the city. They go to the bar.
And what was it? Bannock meets his cousin, right?
Yeah. Also called, was it Lannick or Bannock?
Yeah, it was like one letter difference.
Yeah.
Same middle and last name, and I think he's hanging out. I think they meet each other like, oh hey, what's up? And then his cousin like decks him.
Yep. And starts a bar fight between 2 crews.
When the commissar jumps in.
That's the cousin. He was coming back from after the first assault when they knocked through the walls and whatnot. Yeah. The cousin shows up and just out of the blue punches him right in the stomach and draws his gun on him.
He's a ground pounder too. Like he's also high level. Like he's a lieutenant or something like that.
Yeah, Jonas.
Okay.
Jonas Bannock.
Jonas Bannock. The worst Jonas brother.
Yeah. So I think I love this one because I think it also showed like the dynamic between the commissar and the regular guys too.
Yeah, so you got commissars normally. Something's out of line. It's just, well, I gotta punish you right now. You're dead. This commissar said, we're friends, so I'm gonna let this one slide. Let's leave.
Oh, okay. Yeah, they worked a little bit together in tandem, but
yeah.
And weren't they saying that like the commissar was fairly young? I mean, relatively speaking, or
no? That was a different. That was later in the book.
Multiple
commissars.
Oh, okay.
But yeah, so and he has so then after the fight, the Bannocks kind of meet up with another Bannock, which would be like their uncle.
Yeah.
Who's like this super rich guy. And they're like, why the fuck are we doing this, man? And he's like, there's 4 appropriate responses to this. It's like we can do a show of force, which we're doing. We could exterminate the planet. We could just neglect them and ignore the fuck out of them, or do a planetary bombardment. And he's like, we want to reuse this, so no bombardment. We want to reuse this, so no neglect. Exterminate us. We want to reuse this, so like this is the only way. So,
right.
Wasn't he also saying that like they wanted to show the other planets in the sector, like that they are the top dogs, and they don't want to, like lose the resources.
Right. So the governess of this planet is actually the governess of the system itself in the grand scheme of things. So she's actually all the planets, even though this one is the only one that seceded, the rest of them could secede from the Imperium.
They say by showing the subsector that the Imperium is capable of assembling a major fighting force even when the greatest crusade is going on.
Yeah.
Makes them all going online like, yeah, we're doing major things, but we're redirecting all of the shit to shut you up. So yeah, I think even in that case, I'd be like, okay, I'm good.
And that was kind of interesting because it was like this was really not to their advantage. Like this whole battle for the Astra Militarum and the Imperium in general is like, this is not necessary, guys. Like we have a larger picture here, and you don't fit in it. Like what the fuck? This is not the right time.
I think my favorite part is they deployed so many men and 7 super heavy tanks. They were like, we brought 7 tanks. That's all we need, but we brought 22 million men, so there's that.
They were just treated like god machines too. Like I love this.
Talking about that, and they're referred to as god machines. I mean, I imagine them as being like a dumber Kit from Knight Rider. Like they have
moody dumber Kit.
They have like an engine seer who like travels with them all the time to kind of make sure the machine's okay. But they're little bitches. Jesus Christ. Yeah.
Which
they're like they're the tanks. The Shadow Sword was like the Shadow Sword was shamed in the last battle, so
it's not firing.
It's not firing its gun now.
It's not going to fire the volcano cannon. You could shoot the regular stuff, but the big gun, no.
I think that was kind of funny, like the way they talked to like the engine seers. Like the engine seer would show up and they're chanting their canticles, and like, what the fuck is he doing? That's so dumb. Like it's just a goddamn machine. Go in there, fix the engine, make it work. That's it. Whatever, man. Whatever.
I really like the kind of juxtaposition as well. How they were like, God, this is fucking dumb. It's a tank.
Yeah.
And then on the same page, praise be to the God Emperor of mankind. Yeah. Oh, holy terror, the only one true religion.
One's lip service, and then the other one is like buy-in. So yeah, but in the end, like it was legit. It seemed like it was legit.
Yeah, they said that the tanks feel guilt, fury, anger, shame, joy, and that's kind of what motivates them.
Yeah.
And I was just like, man, now I imagine like freaking tanks lying on like chaise lounges and like, how did this battle make you feel? And like the turret just going like,
it's a happy tank.
I actually really, I felt like that it Guy did a really good job of making the tanks feel like actual characters in the book,
sure.
as opposed to just I get in my tank and I drive it. I'm the main character, I'm the title character, but I just shoot guns. Boop boop boop.
I think like and maybe this is kind of going to like the more of the I don't know the moral of the story, but it seemed like he was kind of like doing that with like a lot of like it took time like with a lot of these aspects to like draw them out. It's like because I think it wasn't towards like, and this is jumping forward, but like it wasn't immediately obvious that was kind of the case. Like it seemed like a lot of that was just like lip service and kind of like hokey pokey, like superstition, and like the tanks. For the longest time, it was like okay, like, that was just the tech marine being eccentric. But then after a while, you start to see it, and so like that way. And then of course like that other backstory with Dibs and all that.
Yeah. So let's move on to that. The Devil in the Bush. This book was only released, I think, last year. This year?
I thought it was like, this spring.
2016, 2017.
Or winter.
Slaanesh is going nowhere. It is not being retconned out of existence because, good God. So there's a chaos taint on this world.
Oh, and tainted it is. Right in between the anus and the...
What I found amazing was it was, again, the Imperium's fault because there was no chaos taint when they were like, yeah, we literally have no one to send. And then they were able to kind of corrupt from there through a Herald of Slaanesh who'd been kind of living on the world, calling himself, or being referred to as the Devil in the Bush.
Well, the Devil in the Bush was their old wives' tale,
So I think it had kind of been there a little bit, but it was like it grew, but I think that's part of it. Like chaos is like the more you buy into it, it's almost like the orc
more powerful,
right? Yeah. So.
Yeah, I felt so in my head. This Devil in the Bush appeared after the fact, using their old myth, this old wives' tale from thousands of years of this planet, however long it had been or whatever, to manifest himself in this this form to kind of trick them into moving forward.
Because I kind of got the impression that it had been going on beforehand. Like, I mean, there was the legend of the Devil in the Bush, but I kind of got the impression that it was like the seed of Slaanesh. Like, because it took a while before, like, almost the last, like, third.
I noticed,
like,
like,
oh, shit, that's
the
Slaanesh,
language in the book as well. There was, like, they started to, like, before they even talk, like, about how lavish things are and, like, how fat everyone is and how there's excess. They use, like, he uses the word excess a bunch.
I like that your status in the nobility is directly correlated to how fat you are.
Yeah. And maybe that's okay. I didn't pick up that. I was kind of looking at it like maybe it was just like for the longest time. Maybe even when the main characters or the main like the cousins were younger, like it was just like the seed of Slaanesh, and it wasn't a big deal, and nobody was influenced by it. But then maybe as everything became hedonistic and everything, they created the ability to grow stronger. Because I think of the Slaanesh, like it builds off of those things, like and so.
So the cousin, there's one cousin who was lithe and sexy, and
that's Pauline,
the hippie.
I
Pauline.
read it.
Pauline.
You read it as Pauline.
Yeah,
I read it as Pauline. So I was like, but I mean, I none of the names. I couldn't say any of the names in the grand scheme of things. She was like she went climbing mountains and did all sorts of stuff, and so she's the one that actually found the demon in the first place, dancing.
Well, spoiler alert, it's because she was a high-level psyker, and she was not sent away on the black ship like she should have been, so she was able to be corrupted. And it's also found out that, there's a nephew that was the one who's like, we shouldn't pay this tithe anymore.
The second in line for ruling.
He's the second in line for ruling behind the governess, or the governatrix, or whatever it is they refer to her as. And then, so the plot kind of shifts away from the planetary governor to... this guy Dostane, and how he loves his niece.
It's his aunt.
His aunt.
Oh, that's right.
Yeah. So they're related. So we have some Game of Thrones going on right here. A little bit of incest, and then
unrequited incest. She wasn't interested.
She was not interested whatsoever. But when they bring the Devil in the Bush, who starts to refer to himself as Dib back. And this is kind of during the planetary invasion. This is when Dib is like, hey man, we can win this war. I got friends. I mean, you're not going to like some of them, but we can win this. And that girl there, you want her? You can have her. And then Dustin is like, but she doesn't want me. And it's like, oh, she doesn't have to. Oh, that's fine. And it gets like super, super creepy. And we see kind of the progress of this Dib character kind of whispering into the ear of Dustin, telling him what to do. I mean, like, I can make it happen. Just ask me what you have to do. He's like, I don't want to know. Yeah. And then as the Astra Militarum gets closer and closer and closer, he's like, all right, I want to know what I got to do.
Because I think he kind of lays it out. It's like you have because I think with the legend with Dibs, like he gives you a choice.
Yeah,
like, do you want this or this?
Good.
Yeah, it's like, do you want enslavement or do you want power? And like, but like I thought he was going to be like a no-brainer. He'd have been like power, but it takes him a second. He's like, okay, let's do power.
There's
like,
a little bit of morality left. No,
yeah. And so he goes with that, and then of course he doesn't want to know like how he gets it, and
right.
But he's gotta know.
Yeah. I think by this point, like, we kind of figured out, like, okay, this is definitely like a herald or something, and it's not going to end well, and it's going to be lots of tentacles and vagina faces. Yeah. But I think it was also kind of neat because, like, I couldn't quite see, like, it seemed like his aunt, I guess, because there's two aunts. There's like, I think they're sisters-ish, right? Like the governess
and the
hippie one,
the hot sexy one.
Yeah. So at some point, like, it seems as though the hippie one is cognizant of it all and has like almost like a pure spirit, a pure-ish spirit. And then it just seems like at some point, and it's not quite clear, like she becomes a pawn of Slaanesh.
Yeah.
And she's not of a cognizant mind. Like, she's just straight up a puppet.
Yeah. Like,
she was, I felt that, like, she was really, really kind of naive. Like, the whole reason I didn't send her out on the black ship wasn't because she was, a psyker, but more that she was really a simpleton in the grand scheme.
I think she wasn't sent on the black ship because she was the governor's little sister.
Well, yeah, but I mean,
that's it.
But she seemed to be more of just an absolute simpleton. Like, she took joy in the simple things of life as opposed to everything else the rest of this planet. Like, I want to skip up a mountain, and I want to watch the sunrise or the
optimistic
sunset.
Free spirit, Pollyanna.
Yeah.
She was very Pollyanna.
Pauline?
Yeah. There you go.
I don't know. That's how I'm reading it there.
So Pollen
Pollyanna is a term for always happy. Anyway.
Oh, is it?
Anyway, go ahead.
Great naming schemes.
Yeah.
Go on, Dave.
So anyway, that was all I had in the grand scheme.
Okay.
That's it.
Yeah. So then it moves into a fuck orgy.
Oh,
all right.
man.
So now you're skipping.
Yeah, this is like
we gotta back up just a second.
What else is there?
I want to talk about the bar fight.
Let's talk about the bar
fight.
Right, okay, we're going back to the bar fight. Just we'll keep listeners by saying there's going to be a fuck orgy later.
Yeah, but it's at the end.
We really
it's at
should
the
have
end.
started the podcast with that.
Fuck orgies.
We all put it in the subject matter.
So the bar fight. So the
this
tank
is a
crew,
really good. This is a really good.
It was a fantastic scene.
Really, in fact, I was having trouble getting into the book until the bar fight.
Really?
Like, it was a slog for me to get through. I was like, I'm not enjoying this. I can't pronounce any of these names. It's crazy.
You're not supposed to read it out loud, Dave.
You don't use your lips when you read?
So
the bar fight. So you got the tank crew, which has a Salvar Chemdog driver who is feral and looked down upon by other people. You've got
except for Bannock.
Addicted to that meth.
Yeah. Space meth. You got the regular crew, Paragonian people, and then there was one guy who was something else, but I don't know what it was.
The Green Arrow?
No. He was
the gunner guy. There was the weird gunner guy.
It was a gunner, I think.
He had there's a few gunners on there.
Or the
because there's like two of them that are dicks to each other. I think like the one guy, like I think the gunner, right? Aren't there like two that are constantly competing?
So there's Megan, who's one of the gunner.
Right.
He's the first gunner.
But he's like the second in command on the tank.
It was
he's the main gunner.
The second,
right?
Lieutenant Consman.
Yeah, it was
Epirelliant. Yeah, he was from someplace else.
Okay. There was Callaghan, Megan, and Leonidas were the three gunners.
Oh, okay.
So
it was the other two, not Megan. Megan was pretty chill.
Megan was chill. Yeah, Callaghan and
so
Leonidas.
So must have been the other two
not.
that were competitive.
Megan, Callaghan,
it was
Leonidas,
Golf, the second
Ganlick.
loader, who was the aggressive feral.
Oh, okay. All right. Yeah, he like spoke in really choppy terms.
Oh, you're right. It was Golf.
Yeah, it was Golf.
Golf.
Okay.
Who was the feral one? And I don't know what he was actually.
I don't remember. Was he Catachin?
He was a squat.
No,
he
was.
He was really short. Like I don't think they said squat, but no, he wasn't. But
I think it was a rattling. Sounds more.
He
like
was an abhuman anyway.
And they didn't really describe what he was.
Yeah, and they didn't say abhuman, but
it
he
wouldn't
was
be
really
squat 'cause
small.
he was
and
really
he could have been.
lithe.
But they didn't really like overtly describe, like tell you what things were either.
Right.
So it just kind of alluded to the idea, like maybe he is.
So there was a fight between the crew of the Cortine's Honor, which is our Baneblade, our titular Baneblade from the last book, and the Paragonian Foot Company,
who apparently are, as near as I can tell, big Scottish guys.
Yeah,
that's the best way to describe them. They had like fiery red hair and stuff like that, right? Or Irish, big
blue
Irish
war
Scottish
paint on
guys.
the balls.
Yeah. Their las guns are in caber form,
and they hated golf.
Yeah, because he was an abhuman.
So.
And feral too, right?
And feral,
that was
feral world.
I think that was their official reason.
Yeah, they were like, we're going to string him up. We'll get you somebody good. Don't worry about it. But
they're about to beat the shit out of him.
What were they called? Atricans or something like that?
They were called the Paragonians.
No, our guys were the Paragonians. The other guys were the
Atraxians.
Atraxians, yeah.
Okay.
So one of the crew is actually an Atraxian.
Rare.
So they
how
get
Atraxian is he on a scale of 1 to 10?
Well, I do like fiery red, so
and blue balls.
12.
12.
No, so they get in a fight, right?
Yeah.
They say, hey, you can't have our guy. He's our team. He's part of our team. He's part of our tank crew. He's family. And they get in this giant fuck off brawl.
And I think like that was also, like for a while there was tension between Golf and then like this other guy. I can't remember which one it was.
One of the other Atraxian guy.
Yeah, and then he comes out of it. Like he ends up being like the biggest offender. It's like that. I could pick on my buddy, but you can't, kind of a thing. And so he comes to his aid.
Yeah, and I
so
like
it's a bonding moment, I think, for him.
I like the Atraxians were like twice the size of the Paragonians, but the Paragonians come from lower gravity, so they were stronger. Plus, they load shells all day, and we're not foot troops, but we're not pussies either.
It was kind of the great bar brawls. Like in kind of like classic war movies where they go to this like common ground, like no fighting, this is a neutral ground, and then they end up just beating the shit out of each other anyway.
Yeah,
or even like an old western, where they go into the saloon and throwing each other over tables.
Right, totally. So is this where the cousins fight, like Bannock and his?
It was no, because the cousins were off at the uncle's house at this point in time.
Yeah, but they did before this.
Yeah,
the first time we meet them, and I think also at roughly this point, like the uncle is like, look, you guys can't be fighting.
Yeah.
Right.
And here's why.
When they said that, like they kept, they're okay, fine, we won't fight anymore. And Arbite comes up to them and be like, guys, we have all of your men in custody.
You need to come with us.
Yeah.
But it also kind of reminded, because I think he was also the uncle was talking about retirement, like he's going to retire and have this big plot of land and everything, which reminded me of last episode.
On this planet,
yeah,
was the plan. Yeah.
So they're like,
please
we're going to dominate this place.
Yeah.
And I'm going to have this plantation, and you guys could live here at some point.
Well, what I really liked about kind of the post-bar fight is kind of like you go, they're all in their like individual cells in this like quickly constructed Arbite center because they had to kind of do it on the fly. And they're like, okay, they're yours. And they're like, you guys aren't charging them? And like, again, to that imperial bureaucracy we're talking about, he lists out like 4 or 5 different laws that are applicable. It's like, what do I use? This law set, this legal set, this legal set.
We're at war.
Yeah, just deal with them.
Yeah.
Like,
you deal with them. Oh, and sign here and here and here on a data slate.
I love.
Awesome.
Well, no, it wasn't even a data slate. It was just a regular carbon copy. I love, in the far future, in the 41st millennium, there's only war and also like 1980s technology.
Right.
I thought that was amazing. I have to say, like some of the scenes, because like I think it's one point like the rain starts kicking up and they're in like a command tent and they're like looking over this hollow table or whatever, and like the tent flap is flapping in the wind and like the floor is dirty mud and. I guess you don't really have clean mud, but it was.
My mud is triple filtered.
But it was kind of neat. Like going back to the, like, I mean, it's relatable, low tech meets high tech.
Yeah, for sure.
That was really cool.
And they do a really good job like describing everything and getting like you right there. It's like it's futuristic, but like it could be any war movie or any western or things like that.
I mean, aside from the like giant like god tanks and like and never ending battle, like it's a world that we inhabit.
I remember god tanks in Magnificent Seven, so I don't know what you're talking about.
Okay.
I really liked how the punishment was decided that each of the people involved in the bar fight would get like 5 to 10 lashes each and don't do it again.
Yeah.
And Golf is like, nope, my fault. I'm going to take them all for you boys.
Yeah.
And then Bannock is like, man, that really sucks for him. but man, will that mold them together as a team better and lets it happen. And golf just takes like hundreds of lashes, or like
35
lashes.
He was from a death world or something, wasn't he?
Yeah, so
like
that was
his
nothing
golf people
for
like,
him.
whatevs. It's
Yeah, he's
Tuesday.
like,
What do
"It's
you
all
do on
good."
Tuesday?
Yeah. Give me a stick to bite. I got this. Didn't make a sound the entire time. They carry him away, and all solidified.
here it is.
Do you have a carnosaur that's going to bite me while this is happening? Because
I
this
found
is
it.
what happens back
Because
home.
they're trying to talk him out of taking them all because like you're the smallest of us. He describes it as, to become a warrior of my people, I am bitten 34 times by spider rat. It makes a poison that causes great pain for 3 days and terrible visions. So what if man hit me with stick? So I'm like, okay, that's pretty good.
Billy Badass.
So yeah, he takes them all. Doesn't make a sound. They take him away, and as they're taking him away, they put the Traxians, the Traxudians, up there to.
And they're screaming like little babies.
Yeah.
They're just like.
It's so sore. Oh, one thing I did want to talk about was the way they wrote the Baneblade's assault on the kind of the entrenched position where they had like las cannons and bolter emplacements and
the taking of the first city one.
No, it's like an out camp where like they have to drive up the hill at an angle.
Oh yeah. I think at this point, like, there's Titans involved, right?
No, the
No,
Titans are
this
later.
is slightly before the Titan.
Okay, but there was I guess it's
So
kind of the
good.
same kind of scenario.
But yeah,
There was,
they're driving up, and like they'd already tried it a bunch with Lehman Russ, but like Bannock's like, well, yeah, Lehman Russ wouldn't work. You're trying to put them at like a 50-degree angle, and they're too top heavy. They're going to fall
over.
And they have this the planetary defense force has this great position where they can see everything on both sides. They have las cannons. And like they have a destroyer, and I'm like, wait, what? That sweet looking Forge World tank?
Oh,
Yeah.
that's right.
Yeah, so
there's
they
like 3 of those, wasn't there? Or something? It was like
no, there's one.
Was there?
One destroyer,
Okay.
but it was on the top of the hill at perfect
Yeah.
firing, and it was just wiping out
That's
things
right.
left and right.
Anything that came at it was nuking it. So
So as the Baneblade's driving up and it's doing like almost skid turns, like Fast and Furious style, to kind of get out of the way of this destroyer weapon.
Yeah.
And I love the way like the whole time like Bannock's looking out and waiting to see it, and he's like, okay, move now. And they avoid 2 shots, and then the destroyer crew shows some tactics, and they start to hide, and then take a shot, and he goes like, it describes it goes right through the tank.
yeah.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, and they spent the first. I mean, this is around.
Did he kill a gunner with that shot?
Yeah.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah. This is like 300 pages in on my iPad or something like that. Or no, it's only
It's 200 pages.
it's-
Yeah.
But it's a couple hundred pages in, and they've done nothing but describe how indestructible these tanks are, how thick the armor is, and all that stuff. And it just melted through it.
Jeez.
Yeah, but to be fair, when he showed up, he was the only one of the 4 tanks that they had with them that their commander was. He's not even the commander of the company, right? So he's the only still working tank after a few engagements.
That's
And they
right.
said,
Yeah.
we need you to go to the front and help these guys.
Right.
Why don't we all go? It'll take us days to get unstuck from the mud, so you go ahead and go. And he gets there, and the guy tells him they've got a destroyer thing, that sweet tank from Forge World. So, just so you know, and so that's when he concocts this scheme to drive sideways on like cliff faces and stuff. It was
And he takes it, and they destroy, like they shoot the destroyer tank that blows it up. I think one of my favorite scenes in the whole book was when the tag priest comes up. It's like, oh, there was a destroyer tank there, right? And we're like, yep. I'm like, so you saved it, right? So we can study it. Those are super rare. And they're like, nope.
I think like taking out the destroyer was kind of neat too, because weren't they like, they could see the engines charge on the destroyer, and weren't they like trying to like angle their shell like, all right, we know it's going to be about right about here depending on their shots at us, and so they end up like blind lobbing, right?
Yeah.
What I remember, and taking it out.
Punch it, Chewie.
They punched it too, and they went up. And I found out as well from this chapter that a Baneblade's top speed is 20 miles an hour.
Yeah.
Oh wow.
Which seems super slow. But again, it's a giant multi-ton war machine of death.
See, now
They're a lot faster on the tabletop.
I think that the top speed was based solely off of the fact that the engines are engaged with the gun possibly being able to be engaged. Because later in the book, he says, "Screw the gun, pop the engines," and they manage to go faster.
Oh,
but
okay.
it's not much faster. It's
Yeah.
like so. But yeah, no, I dug that, and I can't help but think that if they had a Paragonian driver, he wouldn't be able to do that.
No.
You needed a guy that was methed out.
Yeah.
You needed a guy who was like super
You did
high.
not give
You
a
want me to
shit.
do what? I got this, dog.
I used to be a heavy equipment operator, and I was terrified shitless every time I had to go up an embankment with a bulldozer. Like, I'm gonna fall over and die.
You want me to do what? You got one of those Hot Wheels loop-de-loops tracks? No problem. Hold on.
I'm so high.
I'm good. Let's do it.
I enjoy that I learned a new 40K swear word from this book.
What was that?
Bazdax.
That's right.
Because he yells out, "Take this, you yellow Bazdax," which sounds super racist.
Yeah,
but
totally.
it really is just referring to the color of their uniforms.
Well, the yellow part.
Yeah.
So what was I think at some point, like early on, going back to like the cousin brawl, we see that there's like some animosity, and this is kind of like it's like most stories in Western culture. There's like a redemption angle, and so we see that like I think Bannock had fucked over his cousin. So I think at like this point, like we're trying to earn perceived, right, yeah, absolutely right.
Cousin,
and I think like. So at this point, like, he's going in there to rescue some of his people, right? Or was that his platoon?
So the cousin was part of the Lucky Eights.
Yeah.
And those are
Super heavies.
Yeah, they're super heavy tanks with regular dudes riding in the back. So it's the Baneblade variant that you can make with the plastic kit, I guess, where you put the guys in the back, right?
Yeah. Hellhammers?
There's two of them. There's the one with like the Vulcan Mega Blaster, but I don't think that was
That's the Shadow Sword.
Yeah. These ones really didn't have any powerful guns.
Yeah,
in
it
the grand
was
scheme
a
of
troop.
things.
Yeah,
it was a troop transport, and so the Lucky Eights, the tanks had never lost a tank in the history of this regiment.
Shitloads of men.
Oh yeah,
no tanks.
So the best,
was it 13 hours or whatever?
The 15 hours. The best descriptive thing that I found from this book was the tanks. They've never lost a tank. However, it can take up to 2 days to clean the blood from the back from all the men that gets lost. I was like, gross.
They're just holding it's like a little bowl of dead men.
So the cousin believed that he was screwed over. He believed he should have been a commander of a Baneblade. And because of their weird societal system, something happened and his family lost favor. So therefore he is in fact just a lieutenant of foot troops and not
Wasn't it? It was like a marriage thing too, wasn't it? I think there was like a marriage component that was politicized, and like whoever married this lady got to become like the, whatever, like tank commander, and he
turned it down and moved away. True love for someone else.
Yeah, and there's a duel and some other stuff. That whole bit there resolved like a snap. It was the only thing in the book that I went, okay, you could have just left this whole thing out. Just been like, hey, cousin, we're friends. And just been like that from the start. And called it good. Instead of trying to wrap it up the way they
I think that was just like, that was like, it is a little bit like, it was kind of forced. Like, I didn't feel like it was terribly forced. But it did have, it was kind of a cliche element. And it was like, but yeah, you need that story of redemption in like a lot of, like Western literature. So I guess, like maybe they could have done that a bit differently. Because they used the redemption story in like other aspects too, in like smaller pieces, like later on with like the Super Heavy that were like, I won't work with these people. But in Super Heavy, he doesn't want to work with other people.
I think it's actually in binary. It's like it
sounds
like
it
was just an old.
It's like
Michael, I will not work
plus
with
a
these
56K modem.
I imagine Machine Spirit sounds exactly like a 28K modem. And only so many people can read it.
So we've come out of the bar fight. We're friends with the cousin again.
Yeah, that takes a while, but
we've now gone and solo wrecked face over a demolisher and a bunch of embankments, allowing X troops to take the position. And now we are moving.
You've captured a command post.
Yes, an important part. Killed a bunch of yellow.
Uniform people. Yellow uniform people.
Yellow. I'm sorry, yellow.
Racist Baddock.
Oh my god.
Bazdak.
And so now we're back to Dustain, who's like, all right, I accept.
The nephew.
He accepts the deal.
He's gonna get his freak on.
And before that, so we find out he accepts a deal, and then we see our first Trader Space Marines show up. Because I love the way they describe the Space Marine tactics, because it makes Chaos Space Marines seem like deadly as shit. And for one, when the Guard first see a Space Marine, they just call it an Adeptus Astartes. They do not know the difference between the two. They see like a large power armored man. And then they describe it as a small Space Marine fleet comes in from space, does a whole bunch of damage, drops a bunch of guys, and then fucks right off again because they can't win the fight. You know, it's all like super precision. A perfectly timed assault.
And I think like at this point, like this is when it really hammers home that it's Slaanesh. I think because I think they describe it and it's like it's Emperor's Children. You know, like
but I mean you've started to piece this together in the grand scheme of things. That the Dostane storyline is he says, okay, I'll do it. What do I have to do?
He has visions of orgies in his head,
and he's like, ooh, and I get to have sex with my hot aunt, brown chicken, brown cow. So you get
So the Space Marines come down, and then the first thing is my immortal enemy. They come up against a trio of predators. So it's like 3 predators versus a Baneblade.
Oh.
That was an absolutely sexy bit of writing.
It was
on his part. It was so good.
It was I want to say drawn out, but not in like a negative way. Like it
you
wasn't
know
drawn out like it was good. It was thoroughly composed.
So we have the Dostane storyline that happens, and he moves. He says, "I accept Slaanesh," and then we move on to them. They're trying to rejoin the rest of their company command and the rest of the tanks, and they're saying, "Okay, we're supposed to meet up here, so we're on this side of the river. We'll just drive until we get to a bridge that's supposed to be here." And they get close to a smoking ruin and go, "What the fuck happened here?" I mean, and they see the convoy, tanks destroyed in the front, tanks destroyed in the back, people just wrecked, right?
Yeah, I love that Space Marine tactic of like blocking them in between their own armor and then just murdering everyone in between.
And they so at this point they're just now finding out about the Astartes because they have been driving for a day or whatnot to connect back up and do
20 miles an hour.
Yeah, 20 miles an hour. So
and they're pretty excited to see them at first. Like, oh my gosh, this is amazing! Look, Space Marines.
Astartes, cool.
Yeah, they have spikes. They must be the spiky Marine.
Yeah. So what do we got over here? And then they shot at him and went, "Fuck, punch it!"
Because they specifically point out as well there are 3 predators with 4 las cannons on them each. So as a giant super heavy, they're like, "Fuck." Yeah. I love though the kind of the dialogue that takes place inside the tank. Like they know instantly what to do. They don't really panic. They know to shoot the targeting sensors. Like like the little we know them as the bit that lets our gun swivel on the sponsoon.
That's usually what I fire at when I'm playing on the tabletop. Like, I'm gonna fire your optics.
I end up missing. But yeah, they shoot out the optics so they can't see. There was a really nice written bit where they shoot out one of the optics on the las cannon sponsoon, and the las cannon falls down and then rips itself out because
on the ground.
On the ground because of the destroyed optic. I love how they're almost like a pack of wolves coming down, like the predators, like, and they're all like perfectly in tune and in time and kind of encircling them. And again, the only thing that I feel really gets them out is that young, methed up driver.
Yep.
Well, and Bannock's really good commands because they're circling him like sharks, and he backs him up against a wall. And
that's right, underneath of a bridge, right?
Yeah.
Well, I mean, you say Bannock's very good command, but this is kind of another time, like throughout the book, Bannock's like fire, and the gunner's like, "Whoa, hold on." Hold on. No, yeah.
They're all really good. I mean, Megan is a top notch. Like but that's why he got that lead gunner position.
He was before he died at the end of the book.
Oh, shut your door.
We did say spoilers.
Sorry.
So, but yeah, I think they take out like 2 of the tanks at first, and then there's like one that goes missing. They're like, where the fuck is it? That's when they back into the bridge, right?
No, they backed into the bridge because they were getting the shit shot out.
Yeah, and their engine was exposed. It was about to go.
Yeah, they had a guy coming around behind him, so he's like, "Whoop, back up, never mind."
But then I think they lose him though. Like he's gone for a little bit, and they're kind of like, "Where is he?" Right? And then how did they get rid of that last guy? I can't remember.
So you have to kind of figure like a building corner, right? They're backed up in an alley, and the predator's just sitting there waiting at the front, waiting for them to come out. And they move forward just a little bit until they could see the barrels of the las cannon.
Was he on top of the bridge?
They were in the river, but because they had to back up in such a way that they didn't submerge the engine.
The river. That was. I love that he used the river. He said, "Get in the river because the predators can't go as fast as we can in the river," and they couldn't, so they were just following.
Because before the predators were too fast, and they were like kind of encircling and moving around, and that way he got it up there. But yeah, that's the thing is like they were just trying to kind of like just barely see the tank, so they can fire that without it kind of being shot back.
Yeah.
And then I love the part as well. They're saying that they destroyed one of the predators, and they see that the rear ramp of the predator is punched open by the crew. And the 2 Space Marines come out with a bunch of wires like straggling out of their head, and they're like, "Hey, take care of those guys!" And they just like Baneblade shell them.
Yeah, they just blew them up. So you just
that was excessive as fuck.
Nope.
No, that was excessive as fuck. When you're fighting Slaanesh, you do not want to practice excesses.
True. So they still just describe him as Astartes. They don't understand why their brother Astartes are still shooting him at this point. They haven't.
But when they shoot upon you, you fire back.
Yeah, they fire back. They're like, "Fuck it! If they're trying to kill us, we're going to kill them."
Oh, so their tank is just shit, right?
Yeah,
right?
Yeah, it's torn to pieces. Now, my favorite line in the entire book in the grant, it's just they show up, they connect back up with the rest of the guys. They show up, and everybody thinks they're dead.
Yeah.
Okay. So they show up, and the first thing that Bannock says from the top of the turret is, "You haven't left us room to park." And the next guy says, "Well, we thought you were dead. Dead men don't need parking spots." And you got a guy that's shaving, and he says, "Bannock, you're alive. We feared the worst." And they're talking to him for a minute, and he goes, "What have you done to my tank?" Says the text, and everything I could to keep it alive. All right, so what happened to the tank? Well, it took a hit from a destroyer, then an encounter with a hunting pack of tank killers. But don't worry, you won't have to face them. We killed them for you. And the guy says, "That's okay. Good. I'll go back to shaving then." Just like, "Oh, they're dead? Okay."
I mean, it's really the attitude you're going to have if you're a long-term guardsman who's been doing it more than a week. Be like, "You're not dead? Nope, take care of them. All right, sweet. Okay.
Sweet.
So I don't only have like a half day left myself, so who gives a shit?"
Yeah. I don't have to clean out your barracks yet, your sleeping quarters yet.
So at this point, we find out that they are evil Space Marines. They get led on to the news like, "Hey, by the way, those rumors you heard, they're true." Also, for unknown reasons that are completely unrelated, we're attaching a commissar to every unit.
Yeah. Whatever.
So now, I didn't get the commissar thing till the very end, and I assumed it was just to commissar morale. Keep them going.
We found anything when it involves the arch enemy, they don't want people knowing too much, so they tend to kill them when they find out stuff. So there's like your inquisitors and your commissar who are taught and know all these things. They don't want like regular men to be tainted by it. At this point as well, they're like, "Shit, Chaos Space Marines, that sounds awful." Oh, and by the way, they have Chaos Titans as well. Shit, Chaos Titans.
Oh, what do they have?
So they had
more than we do?
A Reaver, another Reaver, a Warlord Titan. And then like it's okay.
Warhound, right?
No, the good guys have 2 Warhounds.
Oh, that's right. That's all they have.
A Warhound and a Reaver.
Yeah.
And then the Chaos have like a Warlord and a couple of Reavers. So we're like, shit. And this is when roll credits. Our crew are removed from their stricken, broken Baneblade.
You have unlocked
Shadow Sword. And they get placed into the tank hunting Shadow Sword.
So that was like going back to that conversation earlier about like the the moody engine spirit. Like I think it kind of decided like it wasn't acting right for the previous crew. It wouldn't quite fire right. It was a little jilted and not quite functioning.
It was embarrassed.
Yeah, and so the engine seer was like, "All right, we need this amount of okay, you guys, you get the Shadow Sword. We think it's going to work out. We did your we did a Merlin Briggs or Merlin Briggs. Like you guys' personalities work out.
The Machine Spirit. The Machine Spirit says that he wants you to pilot it, Bannock, and Bannock says, "Oh, okay, fine."
Yeah. And the original crew's all but hurt.
But so the original crew was there when the orcs did whatever they did to it that happened in whatever previous book that we didn't read.
I think they waved their general naughty bits or their naughty spores at it.
And
I haven't seen anything.
And the tech priest, the tech priest also was violated by the orcs. Apparently,
I want to know so bad.
We want to talk about great lines during the book here. Talking about machine spirits and the Omnissiah and how much bullshit Bannock thinks it is. He says, "The Emperor is a god I know exists, but the Omnissiah, let the tech priests cling to their religion. We've enough experience back home to know a lasgun will fire just as well whether it was sung to during assembly or whether it was not."
Aww.
Oh, religion. So yes, they load up on their Shadow Sword. They give it all of the hugs and cuddles in the world to cheer it up and make it less embarrassed.
And pray to God the big gun will shoot when it needs to shoot.
Something we find
I
out.
had no idea like how clunky this fucking tank is.
Yeah.
Like when you play with it on the table, you're like, all right, I move, I shoot, I move, I shoot. But it's not that easy.
Yeah, the Shadow Sword, because of the immense power needed to fire the volcano cannon on the front there, cannot move and shoot. So it has to move, stop, charge the gun, shoot. This seems unwise for something that is going up against a Warlord Titan, which has the armament of everything.
All right.
Oh.
Here's my model.
Yeah.
Thump.
You can't just like snap off a shot with this thing at all.
So they pull up, they get to their hidden positions. They're like, okay, we have a great view of the battlefield, of the Warlord Titan and of the Reaver Titan there.
As it's Reaver and Warlord or
it's
Warhound
warlording along. You know, your tag priest is like, everything's working as it should. It's all going to depend on prayers now, which is not what you want to hear when you're going up against something. And then they take, I love this bit, they take a shot at the Warlord, you know, the biggest one with their main volcano cannon.
We got this.
And they got this. And they
two other tanks with them.
They fuse the knee together with the heat of the blast.
Oh, yeah.
And that's just such a good image for me, because now I imagine like a limp leg and a long leg, you know, just dragging this massive leg behind it, leaving this huge trench.
Yeah, I think if you fuse the knee together, and like we could move, but the immense weight being supported on top of those legs, you know, it couldn't move. It could pivot, but it couldn't actually move anywhere.
I think it's kind of a neat, like, you know, in 8th edition, you know, as you lose wounds, like, your movement characteristic is reduced and stuff like that. And, of course, you just look at, oh, okay, my movement characteristic is reduced. Like, well, maybe his knee has been fused. Or, you know, like, cool narrative pieces that you can kind of imagine in your own games.
He used to be a warlord, but then he took a volcano cannon to the knee, and now he's a
Reaver.
Yeah.
Took a warlord to the knee. Jesus Christ.
Took
that right now. And then they fire again. Boom. And then they Star Wars it. They AT-AT it. They fuse the other knee together, and it just falls on its face.
No, they clipped the knee right in half.
Oh,
right.
Yeah, they sheared through the knee on the second shot.
Oh, yeah. And so then, but they still Star Wars it. AT-AT.
Yeah, it still falls over. Thud.
It falls over. Thud. Done. And that's how you kill a Reaver.
No, you have to have a Warhound, because the Warhound killed the crew. It like walked up to the head and just unloads everything it has right into the skull when it's down on the ground.
You know, that's a very expensive diorama I'll never be able to afford, but would love to see.
So anybody at Warhammer World that wants to put together this diorama,
if you want to take your 1,000-pound Warlord Titan and just lay it flat down and cut through the leg, and then take your 400-pound Warhound Titan, which I don't think you produce anymore.
And also you need to get a Reaver laying on its side close by, exploded in half. So you just need the arms and the legs, I think, of the Reaver.
And then if you want to paint it to professional quality.
Pro painted.
Nice.
So.
Yeah. Oh, also convert that Titan so that it's a chaos.
Oh, yeah.
Oh,
I
right.
remember
That's
that part.
right. Yeah. There's wieners all over it.
Something fantastic from that as well was that, okay, so after, the day is won, we killed the Titans with our Titan killing tank. The
That was my
Imperium,
band name.
the Imperium comes in and starts trying to sanctify and rescue the Warlord Titan. And to be like, yes, we will take this back for the Imperium, for this is a god machine, and all this other kind of fun stuff. But for me, I'm like, okay, so you're attaching 2 to 3 commissars a unit to murder people who get kind of tainted by what they see. But here's a machine that's possibly been in the service to the Dark Gods for 10,000 years, and you're just going to like Mr. Clean that fucker on the inside, and it's going to be okay?
That's like
Mr. Clean is powerful stuff. You got this. I mean, prayers for the god.
We have 2 different curriculum here, because basically you have the Mechanicum. They work on a different thing, and they have your commissars, and they show overlap. So I think you're right. Like
the machine spirit can't be
this is
tainted.
dubious
It'll be
as
fine.
fuck. This is how Dark Mechanicum starts.
I would love to read kind of like a 40K horror story of like a new Princeps being assigned to a new Titan. Like, yes, this is a brand new Warlord. It's good to go. It's beautiful. And then slowly being corrupted by the old demon machine spirit, within. Because this thing has been evil for 10,000 years. Why? What makes you think you can fill it with old spice and call it good?
Because we saw a taste of what it looks like when you have an old machine spirit like corrupting like a princeps that's relatively new. When we did the Iron Hands book, and that wasn't even chaos. Like the guy got all like, I don't know, just rock hard and
and then we've seen what happens to the interior of Chaos ships, like like the Nurgle ship starting getting all like fleshy and stuff on the inside.
Yeah.
So like the Slaaneshi like Titan is just gonna be like walls of dicks like, all over the place. And he'd be like, "It's like report in, Stevens. What are you doing?" He's like, "Still removing the dicks from section 3."
Jesus, they're coming back.
How do you sit on this chair? This is unholy.
The Titan is it's driven by you have to suck a dick to make it go forward. And
was this like burn notice?
It's a 4-dick system to make a Titan move.
A Slaanesh Titan.
Oh my gosh.
Sir, we purged the machine spirit, but we could not replace the controls.
The controls have been ruined, so you're going to have to learn how to use the penises.
What was that movie like?
Off a bunch of just left. You're jerking in a circle.
Was it like Read After Burning or whatever? The guy like George Clooney. Yeah, that's right, with the chair. That's a slanty sheet.
That's how you fire all weapons.
Oh my gosh.
Oh man,
it was kind of neat. Like look at like the old lore for Titans. I think like back in the day, like Chaos Titans were only Slaanesh, and so that was kind of neat to see. Like, or maybe it was the Knights. I think at one point like there was only Slaaneshi Knights.
Yeah.
And so it was kind of neat that they stuck with that. You know, like, and later on, like people just like been making whatever the hell they want, but like originally they were all just Slaaneshi.
So what I loved after this was the kind of the response where you had the Heretic Astartes, which, is the term I'm now using apart from Chaos Space because it sounds so much cooler.
It really does.
But you have the Heretic
Astartes
attacking the Shadow Swords. Like, you killed our Titan, we'll get you. And kind of like the jump scare when the guy looks up and there's just a Heretic Astarte like open the hatch and be like, "Hey fucker, what's up?" and just like throws him out of the tank and throws like a grenade in there. And it was like, oh man, that's not good. That is not good.
Oh yeah, I thought the book was over. I said, well,
nice knowing you, Bannock.
Yeah. And then
he's dead.
I mean, this would not be the
15th
first
hour man.
This wouldn't be the first 40K book we read where everyone died at the end. Was the common theme.
Yeah.
I mean, to be fair, there was like 50 pages left, so I knew it wasn't the end, unless it was a really big outro.
We still had at this point we still had to resolve like the whole like the court and everything and all the governors but that was such a weird and like one-sided battle for sure, but it had those odd that guy that you thought was dead jumps out of the closet and attacks you kind of thing. Like, so Bannock was saved as he tried to spear the and I think like that was kind of the battle between the two. I think like Bannock got a lucky stab with his power sword right into the
he kept it hidden behind him.
Yeah, so he gets him, and then like one of the downsides, of course, to like the Emperor's Children is like, that hurts. Ooh, that's good. That's real nice.
Yeah, because the guy was like, "Hey, you killed my human heart.
My first heart.
No one's ever touched me for like 1,000 years. Thank you. I'm going to murder you now, but thank you for wounding me.
I will remember you.
The feeling of loss. So enjoyable.
So he just had this like hard on for a while there.
Gotta take my cock plate off.
It's Emperor's Children. They have a hard on for everything.
Yeah,
it was like,
except
you
taxes.
stupid man. Like, great job. I mean, Jesus Christ, that power armor surf is going to be like jet spray in that armor day and night.
Oh, we can still use this. Oh God,
Jizz storage to maximum. Yeah. Charge.
So I like this whole scene because it had me kind of like on the edge. Like the whole tactics they were using, they had like a big long line of tanks going up forward to draw the Titans out, and then their Titans to draw the Warlord away, while the other tanks that are just Lehman Rushes, Demolishers, whatever, managed to kill two Chaos Reavers, no problem. But the Warlord they couldn't handle, so they had to set up this ambush with these 3 Shadow Swords tucked underneath cover, kind of similar to like the old the World War II German style, where you had them sitting there and you're rolling into town, and all of a sudden this tank pops up out of nowhere and just unloads on you.
Sniper tank.
Yeah, you think it's completely free. And they fuse the knee with the first shot, and the Warlord turns and nukes all 3 of them. That was just like...
It's like, woo.
And somehow Bannock's tank survived because it slid down in the embankment and had to move to take the second shot. And so, move, disconnect engine, shoot.
Yeah.
And,
Oh man,
and
yeah.
Harrigan-
Shadow swords are so unwieldy. I mean, I understand it, and I love it because it's like you can't just move and fire your god weapon all over the goddamn place.
see, if
it's a Titan weapon.
If
and
that's
it's
not
stuck
a
on
rule
tank.
in the new Imperial Guard whatever it is, Codex, that shadow swords can't move and fire, then
it's not.
Yeah.
well, it is for me. I'm just gonna.
They're minus
I have
one.
this book right here.
Should
and
be
it
at
says,
minus everything.
minus everything.
minus shut the hell up.
You can't shoot.
Can't
You
fire.
moved. I read the book. Okay?
I'm sorry. This piece of fiction says that I can do it, so I'm going to do
Of
it.
course, according to the fiction, like Space Marines have like 12 wounds.
8 billion attacks.
Well, if you're Emperor's children, apparently. So.
So then we go. Let's go back to the governor's hall.
Isn't it at this point that the Black Templar show up? Because
He
Bannock
played
is
such
about
a
to
small
be...
story.
So
Yeah,
Bannock's,
that's
Bannock's
right, yeah.
cousin is running for his life from trying to defend the tanks from the heretic Astartes, Emperor's children, as they're charging him and failing miserably. So they're running for their whatever the troop transport super heavies are to get away.
Okay.
And they, people are like, they're trying to pull people into the back and get them out of there, and just people.
And the driver just doesn't give a shit.
The driver is sitting there going, "Hey, you got about 10 seconds before the Astartes are too close for us to get away. So just sit down. We're leaving."
He starts like mulching over people that are in the way. Like
Just
drove over other
just
Marines
punches
or
it.
guys.
And then the Black Templars show up, who, by the way, they were in the blurb. They're in like a tiny, like 4-page chapter in the beginning, and I went, well, that was weird to include. And then you never heard from them ever again.
It was the
no
obligatory
mention.
Space Marine chapter.
It's the smoking Templar at the start of a story has to come back.
Right.
It's the old Chekhov's Templar.
Yeah.
It's beautiful. But yeah, so Templars save the day. And then, back to our
Air quotes.
Air quotes.
Save the day.
interplanetary the politics. We have Dustain, who is being persuaded by Dib to go and kill the bizarre offspring of the governatrix.
That's right. She has this
her
baby.
test tube
that's
baby.
She
like-
has a test tube baby, so she's like, no,
It's like
see, he's next in
ICU
line.
attached to all these like. I think at some point they kind of allude that it's not really.
They don't
like,
allude. They say
alive.
it right in the beginning.
It's
of
it's a contraption, like because she couldn't have a kid or something like that, or
Yeah, and Dib describes it as a bundle of cloned organs and machine parts.
right.
Yeah.
It's nothing. So they kill the child, or I'm sorry, the bundle of cloned organs and machine parts.
Right.
So that Dustain or whatever his name is could take the throne when she.
And then they murder the governoress. And now that clears a way for Dustain to kind of take over as a planetary governor, and then also marry his aunt.
Oh my God, that scene where he finally like lays it down. Like,
So before that, though, we have the kind of the wedding party where
it starts off nice.
So I mean,
No, it doesn't.
it's a really well written
goes
Slanesh
downhill.
scene.
It really is.
So there's the excess, and you see it from Dustain's point of view, where like it's just everyone's drinking this booze that the Space Marines took with, or the Heretic Astartes took with them.
It's like this
And then-
unending chalice of like
unending-
ichor and
yeah.
shit.
Yeah.
And he sees
it
everyone
tastes
happy.
delicious.
He has like chicks on his lap. He's very like nailing people over tables. He's eating. He's drinking. Everyone's dancing, having fun. But every so often, it just kind of flickers back to reality for a half second,
and
it's just like he sees people eating other people, and other ones like stabbing and murder and rape and all that other kind of stuff.
Weird sex orgies happening.
And then as soon as he starts to kind of see that more and more, Dib's like, well, time to take your new wife to bed.
No, that it's the Emperor's Children.
Oh, yeah,
is saying, "Oh no, go ahead and drink more of the tasty wine."
He kind of took over where Dibs left
Yeah.
off, so Dibs kind of like did his job, and
Dib was busy boinking the
somebody.
psyker.
Yeah.
The ant. Dib was doing the ant too.
So he lays with the ant.
There was like a moment where I think like Dib comes in to talk to him. This is right before this or not right before, but a little bit before, where I think like he starts to look like the ant, and then like Dustain is
he
like,
does, and
starts
kisses
you're
him.
making out with him.
Yeah.
and he's like they're touching hands and everything, and he's like, and then he starts like shifting back into Dib form, and then back and forth, and it's like it really confused the shit out of him.
There's
He's
a
like,
line-
I'm so dirty.
There's a line in the book where they says like his second greatest fear was like that Dib would like do something to him sexually, and his first greatest fear was that he would enjoy it.
Yeah.
Like they point out how like attractive Dib is to everyone, and kind of in that's that Slanesh kind of vibe where like everyone is like, weirdly hot but soulless eyes. So
he lays down.
Let's talk. They lay down. He gets up in the morning. She's nowhere to be seen.
Ooh.
He has like the world's worst hangover. And he walks down. There's dead bodies everywhere. People with, sticking their hands in each other's like stomachs, and
their
faces
skin
molded together. Just real kind of human centipede level stuff
Seriously,
going on.
Hellraiser.
Again, Slanesh not being ran out of the fluff anytime soon. And they go outside where they see the Heretic Astartes kind of surrounding, like in a circle in the main square. And they're like, "Oh, hey, Disdain, great morning. Hey, thanks for last night. By the way, this chick's a portal now." And she turns into a literal portal.
Yep. And she's just sitting there saying, "How wonderful. How wonderful."
Which is something she'd been saying for a while, right? She'd been
it was her drug-induced kind of like response to everything.
So now that's all she says.
They described it like she was contorted into the shape of a portal.
Yeah, like I imagine it kind of, she's stretched out in a big circle, but the center of her skin is stretched so thin that it's like see-through into the demon realm.
Oh.
And her mouth is open and she's just like, "Oh, this feels so good." Oh.
Here we go, because I wanted to see here. Here we go. So her body had split and stretched, becoming a fleshy arch. Her limbs hung limply from either side. From the top dangled her arms, from the bottom her legs. Her head was set into the apex between crushed up shoulders, the obscene keystone to a hellish portal. Her vagina's the portal.
Yeah.
So yeah. And so it's at this point, Disdain's like, maybe I shouldn't have done that.
Yeah, he's freaking out right now, actually, having a moral conundrum, and just picks up a las pistol and fires a shot.
Well, he doesn't even do that. He picks it up and he's like, "Oh my god!" And then the couple Space Marines just come and grab him. And I'm like, "Okay." And then they crush the pistol in his fist and throw it away.
I can't remember. Was he going to shoot her, or was he going to shoot?
They don't say.
Okay, I got the impression that he was going to try and shoot his aunt, but I don't remember.
Yeah.
He was threatening, but not very much.
"I'll shoot this gun."
Yeah,
That's something.
It wasn't great.
And the room, just like the bodies, even all the bodies were there. So just bloody, nasty, gross everywhere.
So now smash cut.
Yeah.
To our tank crew talking to the Black Templars, and the Black Templars are like, it's fine. This guy Dave over here, or I'm sorry, we got Dave now. We can't do that. This guy Gary over here, he's a Black Templar.
We got Steve. Oh, right.
He had some dreams. He saw the Emperor. He saw how he was going to die. So now he's going to go do that. That's all for seeing. We need your tank, by the way.
Maybe.
So they take the Shadow Sword with them and kind of follow this group of Black Templars. There's all kinds of fighting, and then the closer they get to the center of the capital, though, the fighting gets less and less, and the weird piles of sex bodies grow more and more and more.
It's just quiet.
I keep all my sex pile bodies in the center of my capital.
And I mean,
but it's quiet.
Where else are you going to keep them?
I mean, it's quiet
on the dining room table usually.
It's quiet.
The centerpiece.
It is. But they're very precise about the fact that they are the ones who did it to themselves. So it's not like the Heretic Astartes. I keep on saying it. It's not like they're the ones who are doing it. They're not killing civilians. The civilians are killing themselves in some perfumed sex horror.
And this is like, I think they're kind of like walking the line in their heads as to like what's really happening. And I think like they're kind of like, in a way, they're kind of keeping themselves safe from like knowing that chaos exists and knowing that chaos is doing this thing too, right? Like just like the cognitive dissonance that's happening there, where they're like, "Oh, this is really bizarre. Why did these people do this thing?" Versus like
you're talking about the citizens themselves,
the tank crew,
yeah. So like they're not implicit, like complicit or whatever. And
meanwhile, our new commissar, who's just attached to the tank, is like, "Hey, probably don't pay attention to that," and keeps patting his bolt pistol. I'm like, don't you worry about that. Just keep on driving.
Just keep going. Follow the Black Templars on bikes.
So of course, Black Templars on bikes, being much speedier than a 20-mile-an-hour Shadow Sword, make it to the center of the circle. And then the fight starts.
Pull the best move ever when you're riding a bike.
They throw the bike at or jump off it and slide into them as a weapon, and then do like sweet like power rolls all over the place.
Killing guys with the bikes.
I also wanted to make a diorama of a guy being shot off a bike and just doing a sweet power roll and standing up.
I just want to make a diorama of a couple of them doing like somersaults off, because that's what I picture. They just jumped and did that tuck and roll.
I have images of the tech marines being like, "No, not the bike. There's a spirit in there. No. Oh my god, no.
You know how expensive those are? Come on.
We have to paint it to make it happy.
But right off the bat, kind of the head Black Templar,
the Emperor's champion guy.
No. The head Black Templar challenges the Chaos Space Marine Lord, and then the Emperor's champion challenges Dib, and Dib's like sweet, and then turns into a 4-armed snake person with poison swords.
This is boss fight.
Yeah,
like,
music queued up, everything was going.
That's right. Final Fantasy boss fight.
Yeah. So yeah, there's a really well written fight as well. I mean, it's
very
super
well-written.
intense. They're saying there's like, triple the number of Heretic Astartes to Black Templars. Black Templars are felled down to 2, but everyone else is murdered too. There's a really great scene where one of the Black Templars takes his power axe and trips a guy onto the ground, shoots him in the face with a bolt pistol, while simultaneously like putting his power axe into the next guy. It was incredibly descriptive, and it was like very well done. Like it was yeah. I have no complaints about that fight.
There was a lot of like, he's dead. Oh no, he's not.
I like that Dostane is being restrained by one Heretic Astartes.
With one hand.
With one hand, and the guy he's firing his bolter at them with the other one, and the leader, whose name I can't remember, I'm going to say Adelaide or Adeline.
That's a city in Australia where gentlemen live.
Yes.
Twitter told us.
I love the gentleman in Australia. So
Trastoon.
No, Trastoon's the bad guy commander. I'm talking about the Black Templar guy.
The Black Templar guy?
Yeah, it starts with A.
Adelard.
Okay.
It's a fatter
so
version.
Adelard, in the middle of the fight with Trastoon, fires 2 shots, killing the Heretic Astartes that was firing at them. Guarding Dostane, which just had me going.
Dostane's being a whiny bitch, being like, "I wish I was dead," and then he sees the Black Templar, raids a bolt pistol, he's like, "I deserve this.
I'm gonna."
And then
I'm
he's
sorry,
free.
I atoned.
Doesn't he like try to get the bolter and fire it?
He tried to pick up the bolter.
This giant bolter that's as big as him almost.
So he picks up the bolt pistol.
Yeah,
which is as big as him. Well, he's pretty fat.
Yeah, he's pretty fat. Yeah. So yeah, that's. I like that he picks it up and manages to shoot it.
Yeah, for what he's done.
In my head, 2 hands.
Yeah,
just grab it. He's grabbing this. I got this gun, like a little kid holding a cap gun.
I'm shooting. What was mentioned was for this entire plan to go down, they needed to kill all of the Black Templars, and that would open the portal to another world.
Yeah, they let them through.
So they let them through to go, and they get really close. And then they were like, Dib gets, like, during the finale, like, Dib stabs into
the Emperor's champion's chest.
Bastogne, who's the Emperor's champion, stabs into his chest. And as he's dying, the Emperor's champion stabs up and cuts him in half. And Dib's like, oh, no, but, we need to kill this guy. And then they kill Dostane. Like,
Dostane's the last guy that has to set the portal free.
And so he sets the portal free, and it talks about how this portal starts like expanding out and faces kind of come into reality. And all these demonettes started kind of filling the courtyard. By this point, our Shadow Sword is caught up.
And powered up as well.
And the commissar is like, do not look at that. Please do not look at that.
Just ignore it.
Ignore it.
Yeah.
And they take a shot of
Feel the force.
faith because they're like, we got to shoot that gate thing. And they're like, do not look at the gate, just shoot the gate.
That's what they were told. You just shoot the gate. When we give you the signal.
Yeah.
So Lieutenant Bannock is, of course, sitting there. We have to wait for Adeline's signal. If he doesn't give us the signal, he's not clear. We can't
John
shoot.
Just twitched a bit.
And, well, Adeline is. It might be a city, but it's not. I mean,
Adelaide is a city.
Adeline. So whatever his name was.
And I just literally got
Adelard.
something in my eye.
What's that?
Okay. I just got something in my eye and it was like winking like that. And it's like, oh no.
You're in trouble.
So yeah, they fire a Titan killer weapon at a human woman who was distorted into a gate.
Who was just shitting out demonettes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, no.
Birthing. I'm sorry.
It's not where demonettes come from.
Well, it's from the taint, right?
Birthing
from the taint.
Right.
Yeah.
The chaos taint.
The chaos taint.
And then so we had kind of like the only thing I wasn't super happy about, like all the demonettes start pouring out. They take physical form, but because the doorway they used to come in got destroyed, all the ones who were already there went away.
Kind of dematerialized.
Yeah, it was kind of like a a Phantom Menace moment where they can destroy one ship and the entire droid army stops.
That was the one thing that I went, oh, he didn't have an answer for this. He wrote this and then went, all right, we killed it. What? Oh,
I mean,
demonettes.
I
what
feel
do I do?
it would have been a little more satisfying if they just destroyed the portal before all the demonettes. But
as they were trying to come
right,
through.
Yeah.
But
have them breaching it or like pushing,
to be
starting to push
fair,
through. Or,
right.
if that happened, we couldn't have had the ending we had. Where inside the tank, they're talking about what they saw, and what they saw was a town square full of demons.
Right, which they said that's not possible. Earlier in the book, they said demons. That's not. Those are myth. They don't
and
really
the commissar's there.
And the commissar,
like, guys,
the commissar's like, oh, okay. He goes, I'm just going to pull out my bolt gun. I just have to murder you all now because you're not supposed to know that. And then he gets shivved to death from behind by one of the tank crew.
The Salvar Chem
yeah.
dog.
Yeah, the chem dog. His meth ran out.
You sort of think rationally. Like,
I love so I didn't know about the commissar going to nuke their faces off if they saw demons. That I was like, what's he doing? That guy's nuts. I fully thought he was somehow connected, and I thought
Tainted.
it was going to. Yeah, I thought he was tainted, going a totally different direction, and then it was revealed.
You got to remember, like the Imperium toes this line that these things don't exist.
yeah.
Demons don't exist.
We can't know about it.
Bad Space Marines exist, sure, but demons no.
Well, yeah,
They're
because
just
that's in the
traitors.
history.
Yeah.
So the Salvar Chem dog just shows up out of nowhere as like step.
Yeah.
And he stabs him in the back, falls down. The guy's still alive, and he gets on top of him. And Bannock's like,
Step.
don't do it. He's like, I have to, and then kills him.
I think they had this like great like dialogue. Like this
They
is one of
did.
my favorite parts of the book too. Is like where now there's like this moral like dilemma. Like, all right, well, I think who was it? Was it Megan or somebody was like, I have to report this.
It was
and they're like,
the
no,
second lieutenant
you really
guy.
shouldn't. Yeah, Megan. Then
No,
it was like,
Megan's the gun.
It was,
right, but who was also the second?
No,
Nope.
second in command.
Eperalian was the second in command.
Oh, okay. So it's like, all right, well, we have to turn you in. Like, no, you really don't, because they were going to kill us all. And
Yeah, it was us or him. And if you say that we're all agreeing, we're never going to talk about this after the chem dog, who is kind of this low level guy, or was it the chem dog or was it the feral guy?
It was the chem dog.
Was it golf?
Yeah, it was a chem dog.
Was it?
Yeah.
Okay. So he
It was
Scrappy.
Shom.
Shown. There you go.
show him.
And it was Eperaliant, the second commander.
Yeah.
Like, he was like,
I can't guarantee that I'm not going to report this.
right, because he was like, all I know is my rules, and I have to follow my rules.
And my
I think it
Imperial
wasn't like
primer.
Bannock like, dude, I'm going to shoot you.
Bannock was, and then Eperalian's like, you're not going to shoot me. And then he hears like the rescue team
Yeah, as
coming
they're all
up to
getting
start
closer,
knocking on the hatch,
closer and closer.
and
the
they're
whole
getting
time.
closer. He just straight up shoots him in the face, and he kills Eperalian. And then Bannock just says, "Oh yeah, some weird witch force took him over.
It took over the
now they're
commissar, and commissar shot him. Yeah, then we killed the commissar.
dead." Yeah, neat little bow.
Oh, that was great.
Wrapped it up nicely.
So yeah, and then that was it. And they all agreed they were to never talk of what they saw again, because if they did, they would die.
Yeah, I really enjoyed the exchange between the Salvar Chem dog telling them, listen, our people, the Salvar Chem dogs are trash. You think we're trash, but we see stuff, and we tell the rest of the Salvar Chem dogs. Like, he knew about it going in, about demons. Like, he knew they were real and knew what was going to happen. So that's why he was right there to be like, snick, right in the commissar's back,
It's kind of neat. Like, nobody listens to the chem dogs, so it doesn't matter.
Right.
Like, they kind of keep their lore to themselves, and their lore happens to be about chaos.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, and the commissar's nuking an entire Salvar Chem dog unit, after it's like, we've defeated these, yay. And they go, yeah.
Not I.
Pop, 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 pop,
Pop,
pop.
pop, pop.
Except that they didn't.
And then outro to space, where Bannock's uncle is retiring. And then I like the duality of the family stories, by the way. I just noticed between the uncle and the nephews, and the proper transition of power,
Yeah.
and the improper murder your aunt, fuck your other aunt, sell your soul to chaos transition that the planetary did. And then we find that Bannock is now not a Shadow Sword or a Baneblade lieutenant. He is, in fact, I think a company lieutenant now.
He's
company commander.
So what is it? Merrick or somebody who is the actual company commander has the black lung pop up. I guess
that's right.
It's the black lung, and they allude to it the whole time where he's coughing blood into a napkin. But they're just not. They're ignoring it. They're letting it pretend they don't see it because he's their commander.
I liked when he was talking about it. I was like, I need lung replacements, but I can't afford them.
And even if I could afford them,
they wouldn't be very good.
Yeah.
So he gets promotion for all of his work, and then
but he didn't want it. He
didn't want it, but he took it anyway. I like they talked about the Inquisition had declared the planet as traitorous. And the planet was to be depopulated and resettled. So we find out that means that they're going to take every single person off that planet, interview them, and either murder them or turn them into slaves.
Penal colony fighting units or worker slaves in a different...
and in what I assume is not a exaggeration, the funeral pyres of those deemed unsuitable was visible from orbit.
Yeah.
So, yay, 40K ending.
So I completely stopped at that and started doing the math of how big a body pyre would have to be
really?
to be able to see from space. Yeah. Oh, yeah. At work,
how did that math?
I couldn't. I was just, I'm thinking, if I was on the International Space Station right now, how big something like that would have to be?
I wonder if somebody has figured out the lumens of an ignited human body.
Well, just you could
go ahead and edit around this. As you see fit. Let's do some Googling math. So you got to be how big is something? To see from space.
I couldn't do enough math to figure it out myself then.
Okay.
While still trying to work or make it seem like I was working today.
Of burning
fires.
Yeah.
Visible.
Man, oh my God. There's a the search engine wants to automatically populate Burning Man.
Smoke from Canada wilderness visible from space. The devastating wildfires overrunning the Fort McMurray area of Alberta, Canada are growing so large that smoke is visible from space.
Okay.
They covered 2,500 250,000 acres.
Well, so you're looking at that as
acres.
That's a lot of you're kind of getting more of the big wildfire. I guess the question is, can we get the International Space Station on the phone right now? We can just ask them, hey, when Burning Man happens, can you see the giant Burning Man in the middle of it? Is that visible from space?
So how many cars fit in an acre? 1 acre of land fits 242 cars. So if you were to assume that you could put 4 people in there, right?
4 people in a car.
Right, so that would be 242 times 4 bodies, right? We're just assuming like a body is about the same space, or 4 bodies is about the same space as
so we're
one
talking
car,
your regular sedan, not like an Aston Martin or
something. Not like my beautiful truck. No.
Not like a VW Bug or anything. It's a real.
So we're going to go, they changed the calculator app. Holy cow. So we have 4 times, what did I say, 280?
280? Maybe. I wasn't actually listening, I'm going to be honest.
I mean, that's 242. Okay. So we're going to go 4 times 242 times 250,000. That's going to be 242 million bodies. I don't think many people made it to the Penal Legion.
Well, because there was like 4 giant ships taking off with the Penal Legion people at the same time, as this was all going on.
Here's one that says that there was a massive fire at a garbage dump in Mumbai, India, that was so intense it was caught on camera by NASA Earth observation satellite. So
there you go.
So I guess it ranges in size.
During this entire bit here, as we don't edit it around,
there
will be our one mathematician listener screaming, "It's 280 body!" He's just like he's already done the math in his head.
No, dude, send us to that math.
Yeah,
and then you have to look at atmospheric interference. Then you have to look at what's the cloud cover like.
Was the evil rain the whole time? So it's got to be really big to burn through the clouds.
There's quite a model that they're going to produce for this.
Somewhere corn is just like good.
It don't matter. It's a lot.
But
and the third book will be about corn.
I really enjoyed this.
Yeah,
I enjoyed this book a lot. I don't know if there'll be a third book. I mean, there's more Baneblade variants out there. There should be. But I mean, where does the story go at this point? You have Bannock, who's promoted out of the tank. No! They specifically say he commands from the tank.
Yeah, he commands from.
So that's when he gets promoted to the Hellhammer, which is, I think, more of a command tank.
Well, I mean, you could go into more of an intrigue thing, with the Beast Arises, you know, like that wasn't necessarily granular combat and like granular like boots on the ground like intrigue, you know, like it was more of like political in nature. So I mean, you could go anywhere really with it.
So he's going to get Ostracon's Rebirth is the name of the tank that he's going to be commanding.
Oh, shut up, you.
Yeah. So yeah, you could go anywhere.
Look on the internet.
But, yeah, no, I mean I had the book open.
Oh, okay.
Which is sad that I couldn't look up the name of the Space Marine to be able to say it right. But you know, right now, what do you got left? How many of the crew members were left when they started with 7 to start with?
I think they're down to like 2 or 3.
3. I think it's 3, or it's 3 left after he killed his second lieutenant or whatever. So
yeah. Not a lot left.
No.
But I mean,
it'll be repopulated.
Yeah, I think Bannock will be back. I enjoy the character.
Yeah.
I enjoy the kind of the guard. I mean, honestly, like it's really nice, especially because like we've done this podcast for over 2 years.
Yeah.
And we've done a ton of Space Marine battle books.
I thought it was only 2 episodes. This is the second episode, right?
The only 2 that matters, apparently.
Dave. But yeah, we've done a ton of Space Marine battle books. We did the Beast Arises series, but you know, even talking about High Lords isn't just regular boots on the ground guys. And I think it's really interesting to see how kind of a regular guy kind of deals with war.
Yeah.
And this book was really good with that. How they deal with demons, how they deal with, you know, the Inquisition and commissars and all that kind of stuff.
I enjoyed the commissar interaction with Jonas, the cousin who started off an enemy who without any sort of provocation. I enjoyed, you know, the commissar had a couple good lines, and one of them is, you know, I can't remember what the actual line was, but the basic gist of it was, listen, I'm here to enforce, and if you're doing your job to the best of your ability, I don't have a problem with you having a few vices. As they're sitting there getting ready to drink some liquor that they stole from you know, right before the big battle against the Titans, and he said, listen, you know, whatever you got to do it, as long as we win, that's fine. As opposed to the other commissar who was like, you'll obey your orders or I'll shoot you right now.
And he got shanked.
And then he got shanked. So let that be a lesson to you, commissars.
Don't do your job right.
Be friendly or get shanked. Okay.
Snitches
get stitches, commissar.
That's what I'm saying. Hardcore course. Ted.
Yeah.
I know you read this like way.
Oh yeah. Ago. No, it's a blast from the past.
Yeah. What are your thoughts? Closing thoughts on this game?
I mean, I think that it was like the thing that I really thoroughly enjoyed about this. You know, some books I think are just kind of like bolter porn, and they just like take you through the motions of like, this is combat and like here's shiny armor versus, you know, like these epic, you know, like monsters and so on. And I appreciated the humanity, I think, of this. And so a lot of any of these books where like you get to see like people interacting in environments that are relatable. And I think like of the books that we've read, this is probably one of the more like human and more relatable on like a real way. You know, like I could see like, okay, that's probably what it would be like. I could see, you know, like the descriptions of the muddy ground as they walked into the tent, and like, you know, the people kind of second guessing like the dogma, the imperial dogma and stuff. Like that was, you know, that's stuff that I would be thinking, like, God, this is such baloney. What the fuck? But whatever, you know, like you also see like you know, you just kind of accept certain things and move on in like their practical sense. So I think it was really good like that. So I really there was no suspension of disbelief for the most part.
Yeah. And like I said, I really enjoyed the duality in stories as well, because like, you know, the ascension stuff happening rank wise on both sides, where, you know, how to do it right, how to do it heretically, and then the differing views on religion as well. I really like, kind of like, you know, our god emperor is real, your machine god is dumb, you know, and it's like both of them are valid to the people and all that other kind of fun stuff. So I really enjoyed it. I did. I'm going to go back and read Baneblade now, but it's made me like super hyped for more of the street level stuff. So I'm going to go back and make sure I read the Carrion Throne about kind of the Terran world.
Yeah, I want to see that.
I'm way more interested in kind of political thrillers and kind of ground stuff now from GW, because the stuff we've read, like, to me the best parts of Beast Arises and the best parts of this were the political machinations and all that other stuff. And I really like the idea where you have like a role where like you're planetary governor, whereas your one rule is pay your bill.
That
do whatever the fuck you want, I don't care.
See, I think like this is definitely like the books that stand out are going to be like those that like show like the human interest and like the politics and stuff like that. Because I think, like, in a way, like, our experience with 40K is the battle. Like, I mean, we're playing the story on the tabletop. Like, we're creating, like, our reasons for why, like, our 2 Space Marine chapters are fighting over some, you know, like, the relic or whatever, you know, like, time and again. Like,
we're doing
what's
a
the reason
training
this
mission.
time? You know, so even though, like, it might not be accurate, it's still, like, we've experienced that story over and over and over and over. So it is, like, these other things that kind of, like, flesh out the world, you know, like, it's that, you know, the politics of Van Gorage. It's the, you know, like the bar fight with the Calvor Semdog, or you know,
I mean, from this book, I would love to kind of make a mission which is just a bar fight. You know, like just or a mission where you have like 1 Baneblade versus 3 triple Las Predators. Obviously, Baneblade would have to go first because. But you know, like, and even like the assault on the hill. There's a lot of great potential, like, and I think the way this book is, I mean, obviously we know at this point all Black Library books are written to sell models. I mean, that's fine. That's what they're there for. But all of these books, the battle scenes in here are all things I can see translated to tabletop very easily.
Well, I mean, yes, all of them can take place, but let's be honest. If I've got 3 tank killer Chaos Predators versus, I got a feeling that it's really not going to be, especially if it's one that's already damaged.
Well, no, if you set up if you set up the board, and it's all about positioning and moving, and you know the Predators have to have certain lines, and you're still only hitting on 3s, and when you're facing kind of a Baneblade that can take you out in one shot. So I mean, there's ways around it.
There's gonna be a rule tweaks, and like for something like that, like, you know, the Baneblade in game terms doesn't move as fast. I mean, like, in story terms doesn't move as fast as the game terms version, like at all. Like,
which just zooms around like Roomba.
And you know, so there's a lot of things. Like, I mean, maybe, you know, like, it was already wounded by that point, so like you're the knock it down some wounds.
Yeah.
Like you could tailor it to where it would be an interesting fight. It'd be more like scientific than it would be
like I said.
Hey,
and this
let's play this competitive game.
This isn't competitive stuff, but like this can translate really well to like a narrative game.
Fun narrative game.
I mean, you could make a literally really good narrative campaign based on books. Based on this book here. And it would be somewhat balanced as well, I feel. To the end.
I'm waiting for the vagina teleporter, so go ahead and
I'm going to model that out of green stuff and Dark Elder Slaves.
At one point, did you had the vagina rock on your orc?
It's still on there.
Display board,
on my orc display board.
There's a girl's head on it.
There's a hidden vagina. Yeah. That's okay. That was Shadow Sword. It's awesome. You should read it.
It was really good, and I think I told you it was, for me, it was tough to get into. Like, I
did get a message a few days ago being like, "Dude, how are you doing this?" I'm like, "Oh, page 100. Me too. I can't go."
Oh wow, really?
I'm like, just keep going. It's fine.
He had guy was setting his stage very well, but for me, and when I'm reading a book, I don't need you to set my stage that in depthly.
This is okay. So something I've noticed in all of the Black Library books we read is the first third is world building, and then the second third is kind of story progression, and then the third world is push all the pieces down, or the third act is like push all the pieces down. But there's always this like very intense world building because there's stuff we need to know because we're in the unfortunate situation where we are within kind of a toolbox or kind of a fun place that is 40K,
a big sandbox.
Where literally anything is possible. A world which has eyes on the ground and hands coming out of the cave, it's possible.
No
like
problem.
An ice world, like a death world. So you really have to have that scene setting up to kind of make sure you know exactly what's going on. And we're not all great like you, Dave. Some of us do need that world building to kind of get it in there. But yeah, it's kind of because when you have somewhere with no rules, you need to establish the boundaries. And kind of that's what happened in this book here. The first round battle was showing how the Imperial Guard functions in a large scale battle, and then we see how they function in a small scale battle, and then at the end, kind of it's kind of an amalgamation mix of those things. So kind of is again Chekhov's tactics.
And
it's all paying off.
Basically, I would like to say that if you are like me and you kind of are noticing that, like, you've been playing for years, you know the lore, you know the storyline, and you don't really need it, slog through it anyway. Because literally you will get to that point where suddenly the story grabs you. Like for me it was the bar fight. That I got a little teary-eyed afterwards when he was saying, "Oh, they're becoming a team." I was like, "They're becoming a team. It's like the replacements for Keanu Reeves." You know, it's just it's perfect.
You go, buddies. I'm part of the Baneblade team.
And that was when I looked at the people I work with and said, the next one of you that says anything to me until I finish this book, I'm going to punch, so go away.
And then your boss is like,
office.
what are you doing?
You're on the clock.
He
Why?
got on a plane at 11 today, so he flew away.
Oh, yeah. But yeah, that's Shadow Sword.
Yeah.
Fantastic read. Good suggestion, Ted.
Yeah.
Really good.
Okay, let's take a quick break. We're going to come back and just wrap it up, I think.
Yeah.
The new Mark IIIA uses a ceramite overplus steel with a buttress carbon composite frame.
What? Oh, yeah. Which one of those is it?
All of them.
Oh, neat. Hey, is this a cup holder?
Yes, the driver's compartment has a cup holder as an optional accessory.
No way. Shut up. Cup holders?
Well, not everybody has a life support system. So for the exploratory group of mortals we felt,
Cup holders? I'll take it.
Mark IIIA also has a traditional quad thermoreactor.
Hey, do you think I could try it out?
Well, of course, the ignition is on the dash rack.
I brought my favorite travel mug. I got it in this amazing bakery in the Segmentum just outside of Armageddon a few years back. Oh my gosh. Perfect fit.
So anyway, as you can see, the new Mark IIIA has a power coupler interface in the top hatch to allow for modular weapon components that can be...
Does this have a heater in it? I hate it when recap gets cold. If the coffee holder had a heater, that would just make my day.
We hadn't considered that, as most chapters use a Stardate drivers, and most of you as Stardates don't drink recap. But I suppose we could build you something.
Great, you tech priests are the best.
Do you want to see the comms unit specs?
Nah, I'm good.
Is there anything that can...
No, we'll take 11 of them. Thank you. The Emperor protects.
Space Marines hate change. How'd you ever convince him to upgrade to the new Mark IIIA?
Cup holders, believe it or not.
Oh, cup holders.
Brand new Mars pattern Mark IIIA Rhino. New with cup holders.
Wrap it up.
Oh, we're back. It's the legendary fake break.
A fake break?
What?
For you is a real break.
I went to the bathroom for 20 minutes. What are you talking about, fake break?
Yeah, we talked about a shitload while you were away.
Oh,
Get it?
gosh.
Shitload.
Yeah.
Get it?
'Cause you're-
Yeah, so that's been this episode. We love Shadow Sword. Yeah, our book reviews are a little drier, but damn it, we love reading.
What are you
and
talking
we love
about?
stories.
I like our book reviews.
And
They're
there's
not dry.
vaginas,
Yeah.
and portals, and orgies with mouth sewing. Yeah, it was awesome. I really enjoyed it.
Yeah.
Other news.
Oh,
I
what?
decided to use my airline miles and go to Las Vegas next year.
Whoa.
For LVO.
Oh, poor Las Vegas.
Poor Las Vegas going to
Sorry
try and
for all those
retain my third place title in the friendly.
Yeah.
Going to pull those orcs out of the
Oh,
storage.
wow. Really?
Yeah.
Oh, nice.
So you taking the wife this time, from what I hear?
Taking the wife this time. That's why I'm doing the 40K GT.
Cool.
Because you're like, we can go, but we got to have a day for me and you in Vegas. I'm like, absolutely. And I'm looking at all the 3-day events. Like, nope.
Oh.
There is, however, what they call the Las Vegas Open a Gladiator GT, which I was super tempted to do.
What's
It's
that?
new this year, right?
So it's new this year. It's 2,500 points, 0 restrictions.
Oh, wow. Are you going to do it?
No.
Okay.
The only list I could come up with that I would want to do was 83 Malefic Lords, which is 15 command points, 18 command points.
Okay.
And it's an army of 83 characters, so you can only target one person a turn.
You fucking monster. You're a monster.
It's disgusting. Yeah, but they're going to be nerfed hardcore because they're really underpriced and overpowered.
God, you know what? I don't have a problem with them. But you are
83 of
right.
them.
They are ridiculous. And 83 of them, I would probably poop.
So that looked like fun, but no, I just went back to the friendly. I had a blast last year. Hope to have another good time this year.
It was a good time.
And then kind of just relax a little bit, and then before I have to go back to Scotland next summer.
Oh.
So good.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's good times.
I take PayPal, by the way, for that the command tanks.
Awesome.
Ted, you working on a new shirt design, right?
Oh,
For me?
yeah. We're getting there.
We're getting there.
So
It's
we'll,
still
we'll
under
announce
wraps.
it. We'll announce it when it's ready.
Yeah, we'll have a sweet little YouTube video that's just a PowerPoint slideshow that says go to this site.
Sweet.
It's just going to be a picture of me reading Twitter, then a picture of me drawing something in pencil, and then a picture of Ted doing it on
Spending
the computer.
40 hours worth of rendering.
Ooh, renders. Right, well, if you get bored, follow me on Twitter at MobRulesJohn. Follow Ted on Twitter at BC4D. or follow Dave on Twitter at AlphaDevilNAK.
Yes, at Alpha Devil and AK.
Alpha Devil. I didn't know if it was Alpha Dog or Alpha Devil. That was a great
Alpha
movie. Alpha Devil and AK. Look at our Facebook page. I do stuff there sometimes. Ted does more. Look at our YouTube channel. Ted does more.
That one.
Yeah.
I think every week we got something.
Every week something. Yeah, and I have like 3 battle reports stored up. I need to get out there.
Good.
I'm going to do the standard excuse of Jesus Christ. Work was crazy this past 2 weeks.
I got into a role now. I think like where a lot of those videos, there's a procedure, so it makes it really easy.
I just need to get in the heart because I'm like, okay.
And as I'm filming, I'm like, I need to cut that. Okay, keep going.
I got to record an intro, which means I got to get out 2 sets of lights and set it up, put it in the corner, do all this. And I'm like, I have 17. No. But we'll get those up there. So I have some really good battles from Ursa competitive tournament. I'm going to be streaming and recording the friendly or the Ultramar Cup on this weekend or tomorrow because you listen to it live.
And I'm going to be playing in the Ultramar Cup.
Dave will be playing in the Ultramar Cup, and Ted might drop by and say hi.
I'll definitely stop by.
Yeah.
It'll be fun.
Yeah, it'll be great.
I'm curious. Although I was just thinking about it, like I won that friendly tournament 2 years ago, so I can't be part of it.
That was the MJ's.
Oh, that doesn't count?
Yeah, because it was a friendly tournament and you took a Spartan and a Death Storm drop pod.
What? It was fun.
Well, on that note, Ted had a lot of fun then.
Yay, it was friendly for me.
Okay, so for Mob Rules, I've been John.
Hi, John. I'm Ted.
And I've been Dave.
Okay.
And we'll see you next time.
Bye-bye now.
Bye.
This episode of Mob Rules has been brought to you by Mob Rules Media. Please join our Facebook group to be part of the conversation at facebook.com/MobRulesAK. You can also email us at themob@tophat-arts.com. Thanks for checking us out, and we will see you in 2 weeks.
Today on Mob Rules,
we talk about primer, but no primer.
We talk
Purity
about
primer. Okay, start again.